We are Timbersports.
United by passion for the sport and competition.
We chop down racism.
And say yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
Say ja till tolerans.
Yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
是的，理解宽容。
Powiedz tak tolerancji. Ja zu tolerancji.
We are Timbersports.
And the warmest of welcomes to beautiful Bellinzona here, set among the spectacular Swiss mountains. But it'll all be about the man mountains on stage today in the European Trophy 2024. Welcome, welcome, welcome to these, the STIHL Timbersports European Trophy 2024. My name's Matt Beadle. I'm going to be your host for today. And you know what? The athletes today, none of them want to go home empty-handed. You know the trophy format? It is different to all the other formats, and different from all the other commentators is, of course, the chap standing next to me here. Some say that he's so Canadian that he oils his chainsaws with maple syrup. He is, of course, our very own Troy Mannering. It's lovely to be working with you again, sir.
Thank you very much, Matt. And yes, it's very true. I use maple syrup for pretty much everything. It's obvious, isn't it? So, folks, today it's going to be really exciting. My favorite format of all, the trophy format. It is so fun. It is so fast. It is so athletic. And it can get crazy out there. So we are going to be seeing 16 of the best European athletes competing in this discipline after the time trials today. Well, it's anybody's guess who could be the top man on the podium tonight.
And on the stage today, the dulcet tones of our local host, Eddie, who will introduce the movers and shakers. Okay, you're seeing our local host Eddie here introducing the judges onto stage. Beautiful scenes here set amongst the Swiss mountains, as we said. Good crowd as well. A lot of people turned up today for the European Trophy. Remember, it's not only a prestigious prize to win today, it'll be about trying to get amongst the top 10 because that'll qualify you for the World Trophy next year.
Yeah, that's correct. And right now we're just meeting our judges. The first judge to come on is the world, or the, excuse me, the director, the Global Sports Director, Spike Milton. And then next to him, we see Andy Hall. And just coming on stage there is Bart Janssen. Of course, we have our control center judge, who's a very important man, Schul Janssen, and he'll give us his usual cool wave. There he is, Schul Janssen. So those are some important gentlemen on stage. But of course, also going to be very, very important on stage are our athletes. So let's bring them up.
And we'll pass you over to Eddie on stage, who will introduce the athletes.
All right, so first athlete coming on stage is going to be Stefan Odwarka from Germany. Stefan qualified today in 16th spot with a 158.52. First time for him competing in this format, and that gives him a personal best. Next up, we have Adrien Coteau from France. Another first-timer to this format, and he also managed to get himself a personal best with 142.54. Next athlete coming up will be Graham Turner from Great Britain, who we talked to a little bit earlier on. Says that underhand chop is key for him.
So the next athlete coming up on stage from Italy will be Alessandro Chiapponi. Great noise here to support his entrance to the competition. We're just a few miles from the Italian border here, so a lot of support. And the second performer today from Great Britain, several-time British champion, is the timber sports athlete Glenn Penlington. And the defending champion from 2023 and 4th place in last year's World Trophy, a potential winner today. That's Red McNall from the Netherlands.
Yeah, Redner has been working really hard on this one, and last year, the European champion, he wants it back one more time. Coming up onto stage now, Zdenek Maras. It was his first time out, and he was very impressive with an excellent time of 1:29.80. He also got himself a personal best today. Another man coming up on stage now who really needs no introduction in European timber sports. He is from Austria, has been multiple Austrian champion, and looks to be on top of that podium today, Armin Kugler. And another very lovely man who's going to get a big rounding applause here for sure is the Italian Andrea Rossi, a very, very nice man, a gentleman, and an absolute legend in Italian timber sports.
And the next athlete up on stage, and we're delighted that he's made it. As strange as it sounds, there were chances that he wouldn't. He had travel problems flying in from Sweden last night. Some of his kit, in fact, still hasn't made it here. But he's certainly here, and he is one of the favourites today, undeniably. A phenomenal athlete, Ferry Svan from Sweden. You can see him waiting, hands on hips, in the background at the bottom of the stairs there. The next timber sports athlete you're going to see is from France. He really is a man mountain. He is the more-time French champion, undefeated at home, and a great timber sports athlete, Pierre Pubaré. And you can probably hear Eddie in the background already announcing him. From Sweden, a phenomenal sportsman. Here he comes, Emil Hansson. Handshakes all round for the athletes. They know each other well here, but the friendships end as soon as that buzzer goes.
Yeah, this is very much family-oriented, and you'll often see that behind the stage, the guys will be helping each other out with axe choice, with material assistance, and so on and so forth. All right, bringing up our next athlete. He is a big man. He's got a ton of power. He came very, very close in this event in a couple of years. It is the Pole, Michał Dubicki. Also a guy that you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, but as friendly as they get. It's crazy how nice these giant, powerful men really are. Speaking of another nice and very powerful man from Switzerland, and he's going to also have a lot of support here, Ollie Reinhard.
Just listen to the crowd.
Look
there.
at that.
Wouldn't they love it if their local boy won it today?
Very potentially. He's been working hard to get to this point. He's had a bit of bad luck in the last 2 world trophies, so this may be his chance to gain some ground and get into that world trophy here today. The top 10 athletes qualifying for it. All right, last 2 athletes coming up.
And the last 2 athletes up here. From Poland, Jacek Grunwald, one of the phenomenal members of the Grunwald family. I don't know what they put in their breakfast cereal over there, but this Grunwald family has been dominating the sport over there in Poland for decades, literally. 50 years young, Jacek Grunwald. And the last competitor today in the European Trophy 2024.
Also the fastest time trial competitor.
Indeed, 1 minute 13. And so really setting his stall out for the competition today. That is the Czech, Matthias Klima. Already has the ear defenders on. He's I don't know whether that's because he doesn't want to hear what his fellow sportsmen are going to say to him, but he's ready for action, certainly. And there we have it. 16 competitors today. Only one of them can become the STIHL Timbersports European Trophy Champion 2024. Where's your money on, Troy?
Well, I know who I would choose here, but I think I'm not going to go there because I don't want to jinx anybody as we do the walk along for our athletes, but I do have a couple of guys that I think are going to do well today. But it's such a tough call because the talent on stage is incredible. Yeah, there's a couple of guys that are first-timers here, but we did see with these first-timers that we do have some very, very excellent athletes out there that could well be dark horses, but tough call, very, very tough call.
There are several that can win it. I think that's the point here, and that's what's going to make the competition so exciting. Right, we talk about the competition. Let's check out a short clip which explains exactly how it works today.
The STIHL Timbersports Trophy Competition. In the trophy format, athletes have to complete 4 disciplines back-to-back. After the start, they need to cut a complete disc with the stock saw within a 10-centimeter area. From there, the athletes have to complete the underhand chop as quickly as possible. Only after they split the block can they return to the starting point, where this time, the single buck is waiting for them to cut 1 complete cookie. In the final discipline, the athletes have to complete the standing block chop in order to achieve the best possible overall time. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will be eliminated. All participants must first demonstrate their skills in the time trial. The better the athletes perform in the time trial, the easier their first elimination round will be. The athletes now continue to compete in a knockout system through the quarterfinals and semifinals. The losers of the semifinals will fight for the last podium spot in the small final. After that, the 2 winners of the semifinals will compete one more time to see who takes the title.
So, as the clip explained there, we started off this morning with 19 competitors. Sadly, 3 of them didn't make the cut in the time trials that we had here this morning at about 10 o'clock European time. The 16 fastest are those names that you see at the top there. They're going to go off against each other in 8 heats, and that will give us our 8 quarterfinal athletes. The first heat coming up will be Matthias Klima from the Czech Republic going up against Odvarka from Germany.
We should point out, too, that this is now elimination, so the fastest athlete will advance to the next round, barring any disqualifications, which we did see in the time trials this morning. So the athletes are going to have to be extra careful when they go from that first discipline, the hot saw, up to the next one, the underhand chop, with their headphones or their ear protection and their glasses. They need to come off and go down straight onto the ground, but the stage is split into 2 zones, stand A and stand B. So if any of their equipment wanders across that center line into the opposing athlete's stand, then that counts as a disqualification.
The reason that Troy is explaining that today is indeed that we had 3 disqualifications this morning. 2 because, unfortunately, equipment that was thrown by athletes going from one discipline to another was dropped and bounced then sort of auspiciously over the line into the other area. So it's something that we're really going to have to look out for today. 2 very interesting athletes going right up here. Stefan Odvarka, although he's 40 years young, he's only relatively new to the sport, right? He's only been around a couple of years.
This is his first time competing in the trophy format, which is why we saw that time trial as his personal best. So it may well be that he improves his time as the adrenaline starts to ramp up, and knowing that he's going up against the fastest man in the time trial, that man there right there, Matthias Klima from the Czech Republic, who has been an incredible athlete that's come out of the rookie round. So here we go with the warm-up, and it'll be our first heat. And this is going to set the pace for everybody as we get into the trophy format.
So Matthias Klima had a time this morning of 1 minute 13:36 and was comfortably the fastest then. And
Athletes, ready!
Odvarka was the slowest. Here we go. This is heat number 1 of the European Trophy 24. Klima on the left versus Odvarka on the right.
Odvarka with a great start with that stock saw as he gets a nice clean cut going, but Klima super clean with that cut as he gets out to the underhand chop. 1-2 strokes ahead of Odvarka on the left-hand side in this picture here. And now you can see them lined up with their name bars, and both of them getting deep into that first side, but Matthias Klima with a bit of a more closed first cut. Odvarka still trying on that first side. Klima's already moved over to the second side as he will get through there probably before Odvarka will, and it looks like he's got a split log, and he'll set himself ready on that single buck, the 2-meter-long misery whip as they call it, and he's got that thing going, and Odvarka is just moving on to the second side of his block, and it looks like, yeah, he's had maybe a bit too much material out on that front side and left a bit too much time, and he could have a dark spot on that second side. He's through, though, and moving over to the single buck, but that leaves him in a little bit of trouble, and now Klima takes his time. He knows he's got easy finish here, and all he needs to do is cut through. There's no time here where the situation is going to be a problem. It's now all about just winning this heat. Now, Odvarka has a good clean cut here, but he's quite slow now behind Klima, who's moved on to the second side of his standing block chop. So unless Odvarka has the most insane standing block chop of all history, this one's going to go to Klima with a 1:19.82. But as I said, the time is inconsequential here. It's about who wins the heat. Odvarka is going to have plenty of support from the crowd here as he'll switch over to the other side and start on that
was his time
second
this
side.
morning. Can he beat that here?
Yeah, 1:58, and he needs to be under 2 minutes. He doesn't want to have a DQ because he still wants to have the points. He may well do it, but he seems to be staying pretty consistent with his cuts and his timing. So let's see if he can get through there in a little bit faster time. He's got a bit of a sticky one here, and he's going to do it. Nice job by Stefan Odvarka, 1:52.08. So he does improve with a personal best again. Fantastic.
6 seconds slashed off his time from this morning.
Yep.
Well done, sir. Great job, Stefan. It won't be good enough for the next round, unfortunately, but huge personal improvement there. Matthias Klima, what really stood out to me in that heat was how he conserved energy, right? He didn't rush himself.
No.
He paced himself. He could see he had the heat under his control, and you feel like he's saving energy for future rounds, right?
Well, there is a tactic to this as well. Now, Matthias Klima was the fastest in the time trials, so that gives him the advantage of going up against the slowest in the time trials. And that means that, mentally speaking, he can look at his competition on the other side of the stage and say, okay, I can go a little bit easier on this one. And you can see there Stefan Odvarka had a little bit of a shaky start. I believe that was his, and Matthias Klima was nice and clean on his cut, very careful about where he put his headgear and his glasses down, and he got over there with, let's say 1 stroke ahead of Odvarka on the underhand chop. But the second side for Odvarka was what really
slowed him down.
Yeah, he took a long time to switch around, a long time on that second side. And as we were talking with Graham Turner earlier on, he said if you can have a good underhand chop, that sets you up nicely to go to the single saw and then the standing block chop. So Matthias Klima, although he's only been a pro for about 2 seasons now, he's gained a lot of really valuable experience. He's an excellent single sawyer, and that gave him a really good advantage over Stefan Odvarka as they came to the standing block chop, as he was already on his second side as Odvarka started his first side. So it was a really good run, but you also notice, as you well pointed out, Matt, that once he saw that he was through the single saw, he didn't rush to get to the standing block chop. He walked over there, he conserved energy, and that's going to do well for him because his heats are not going to get easier as we go along.
They're not going to get easier, and they get closer between each other. That, particularly when you get to semi-final stage here, they have a matter of minutes between the semi-final and the final.
Yeah.
So it really does become a survival of the fittest thing. So to conserve a little bit of energy in the first rounds is probably not a bad strategy at all.
And if we look at heat 2 that's coming up between Andrea Rossi and Armin Kugler, either one of those guys that gets through this heat is going to go up against Matthias Klima, and that's going to be a big challenge for Matthias because both of them are excellent.
So here we see it. That is the second heat of today. We're going to see the Italian Andrea Rossi with a personal best of 1:14 going up against Armin Kugler, who is the Austrian national record holder with 1:08. Armin, a great pro and a great guy, very well liked around the tour. Although he has set numbers over the years, it's sometimes hot and cold, isn't it? Whether he can really draw it on the day, I think on the world stage, that's the question mark, isn't it?
Well, I mean, Armin has, what I will give Armin is that he is an incredibly consistent athlete. You know, you don't get to be the Austrian champion as many times as he has been without being consistent. But, you know, you're not wrong with the hot and cold thing, but that's the same for all of these guys. Sometimes there are days when the log wins, and sometimes there are days when the axe wins. So, you know, we've seen that this weekend as well in the women's competition, in the pro competition yesterday, and today we also saw it.
It feels slow, doesn't it?
With a couple of our guys, and I was speaking with Camille van Remdonk earlier on, and he told me it seems like the blocks are a little bit drier than normal, which makes them a little bit harder to cut through.
Camille van Remdonk was unfortunately disqualified this morning for an infraction, but he, like all the other athletes, is sticking around, of course, to check this out. Right, they're making the final preparations here on stage. As you rightly said, Troy, either one of these really with their personal best times could be competing right up the top of the league table today. So although Armin finished lower today in the time trials than
Andrea Rossi.
Andrea did, thank you.
Tail of the tape definitely gives the advantage to Armin Kugler, though. Here we go.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Dead even start by both of these guys on the stock saw. Who's got the quicker stock saw? Whoa, it's almost pretty even, but it's Andrea Rossi over to the underhand chop. Slightly faster than Armin Kugler as both of them get to work with pace on that front side.
He's got power, hasn't he?
Yeah, looks like Armin Kugler, though, has got a nice open face, and he switches over to the second side, one stroke ahead of Andrea Rossi. Andrea Rossi on his second side now as well. So again, this is a very close heat between these two, and as I said, tail of the tape definitely belongs to Armin Kugler, but that doesn't mean anything here as both of them move over to a discipline they're very strong on. Now look at this, Armin Kugler got that saw going right away. So no misery whip for him today. Andrea Rossi right there with him. And look how efficient Andrea's cut is. He's caught up with Armin and has gone through it, and both of them are heading to that standing block chop at the same time. This is a dead heat right now. It's anybody's guess who is going to get through this one. Will it be Armin Kugler or will it be Andrea Rossi? The Italian fans here are hoping for Rossi. He shortcut the first side. Rossi's on the second side. Armin Kugler went a little bit deeper on his first side. Will that be the advantage on those final drivers? Andrea Rossi looking good here. Will it be Andrea Rossi or Armin Kugler going on to the next round? It's coming close. It's got a wiggly log for Andrea Rossi, and it's going to be Rossi! Time of 1:18.22. Great improvement for him, and Andrea Rossi will be going through to the next heat and will go up against Maciej Klima. And unfortunately for Armin Kugler, he is eliminated. But that was an incredibly close run between these two guys.
Wow, what a close one. That absolutely incredible. Rossi over 12 seconds faster than in his time trial this morning. Kugler also went faster than today. You can see in his body language he's disappointed. Just 2.79 seconds separating the two of them. So we're going to be able to see Rossi in the next round. Kugler, you can feel his disappointment. He was close there and considerably faster than today. But it will be Rossi in the second round. Talk us through the slow-mo here, Troy.
Yeah, I mean, both these guys had a dead even start on that stock saw. They were into the wood right away. Barely any hesitation by either of them. That was a really nice thin cookie there by Armin Kugler. And look at them. They're almost hit for hit on the first side of that underhand chop. But it was Armin Kugler who went around to the other side ahead of Andrea Rossi by maybe a half stroke to a full stroke on the axe. And on that second side, look at this split there by Armin and then Andrea. Mwah, that's so close, but here, I mean, this was an incredible single saw from Andrea Rossi. Armin Kugler is a fantastic single sawyer, but this was about the most efficient cut I've seen in a long time from Andrea Rossi, and those cookies dropped nearly at the same time, even though Armin Kugler had a bit of an earlier start there on the standing block here. Now it was Andrea Rossi who shortcut that first side, and it was definitely an advantage for him as he got through there quicker, just by about one stroke, and he is on to the next one. And we're going to go to Eddie on stage. Oh, excuse me, it's Yolanda on stage with run. Andrea.
I noticed that you kept your eye and ear protection on in this run. Do you always do that?
Yes. Yes, because give me a little advantage. And also today there is more DQ about the head protection, go over the line. I prefer this.
And you're a very tall guy. So is that an advantage for you in some of the events?
Yeah, my body, I think it's one advantage because I'm heavy and I can have more power with less and become less tired.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Good luck to the next run. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Yolanda. That is, of course, Yolanda Gneniger, who is herself a timber sports athlete, playing the role of field reporter today. You can see how exhausted the athletes are after the heats, can't you?
Hey, this is not a marathon. This is a sprint. These guys are working their butts off to go through 4 different disciplines, and you need to be absolutely fit. And Andrea said it, you know, he's a big guy, so he has the advantage of the power in those cutting disciplines, but there's also a disadvantage to being a big guy because your body requires more oxygen if you've got more muscle mass. So, you know, you really, really need to be fit. And in that sense, we're talking about what's happening on stage here with our next 2 athletes, and that's Michał Dubicki going up against Alessandro Chiapponi. Now, Alessandro's not weak by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not a big man either, whereas Michał Dubicki, he's got muscle mass up top, right? He's got big arms, he's got a big chest, he's got a strong core, so he needs more oxygen to feed those muscles, and those muscles get hungry real fast when you're going through something like this. So you know you need to be fit, and you need those stress training like they get with CrossFit in order to really make sure that you are ready to go for this kind of an event.
Talking of ready to go, it looks like both athletes have made their last preparations. So Dubicki, a very experienced timber sports athlete here, going up against, I suppose you could say local boy, Alessandro Chiapponi, just over the border here, about half an hour's drive to Italy. The hands go on the log.
Here we
Until
go.
the call comes. Here we go. This is heat number 3.
To
It's
your
Dubicki
timber.
from Poland against
3,
Chiapponi
2,
from Italy.
1, go!
Good draw by both of these guys. Ooh, nice thin cookie by Dubicki. So experienced with his cut. Look at those cookies. They hit the deck at exactly the same time, and both gentlemen move over to the underhand chop and begin with pace. Now, what you have to pay attention to here is how quickly Dubicki moves that axe, but I got to be honest with you, I haven't seen Chiapponi move the axe that fast in a long time. He's now, or rather Chiapponi is now joining Dubicki on the second side, about 3 strokes behind the pole, and they're both working hard. A little bit of a sticky axe there by Dubicki, but he gets through. Chiapponi should not be that far behind. One more will do it, and now he moves over to join Dubicki on the single saw. Dubicki's been working hard on this discipline, and Chiapponi as well has looked really good in this one, and he's got a great style. Dubicki is through, now moving over to a discipline that he absolutely dominates. Meanwhile, Chiapponi just getting to the bottom of his single saw cut, and he's going to have to work extra fast and hard to catch up to the big man here as he gets going on the standing. Dubicki onto the other side of the standing, and I think this one is just basically clear from the get-go, or not from the get-go, but as they moved over to the standing, that's what's going to belong to Dubicki in the fastest time of the day, and he will definitely be moving on. Chiapponi onto the second side of his block, getting plenty of support from the crowd here, and I love how Chiapponi got into this one with the stock saw right away to this underhand chop. He was right there with Dubicki, but Dubicki was just a little bit faster there, and that's a personal best for the Italian Alessandro Chiapponi with a 127.31. Naturally, he's going to be disappointed by losing this heat, but he's got a personal best, so that's a great thing for him.
Well, it's all relative, isn't it? You say he's going to be disappointed, but he came recently from the rookie academy, and he set a time this morning, 1:35, already 7 seconds faster today, sets a new personal record, and even has the emotional energy left to give the winner of this heat, Dubicki, a very nice hug there. To Dubicki, 107. Yeah. Hello.
So I might have to change my thoughts on who's going to win this thing. That definitely is a statement. And I mean, Dubicki is one of those guys that tends to get faster as the day goes on. We talked about those muscles needing to be fed throughout the day. This is something that Dubicki is extremely good at. He's a big man, he's got power, but he's also got that really scary endurance.
It's going to be very interesting indeed. What we often see in these events, you see it in the World Trophy as well, and we're seeing it here again today, is that every round from the time trial, then into the 16s, then into the quarters, and on we go. The athletes seem to turn the screw and they seem to challenge themselves. We didn't have anything faster this morning than 1:13. All of a sudden, in just one round further, Dubicki has gone 6 seconds faster. So this could be very interesting. It's all about that I want to say pressure, but it's more sort of that motivation, that stimulation you feel on stage in a competition format, right?
Yeah, especially for a guy like Chiapponi who knows he's up against an extremely strong competitor. That pushed him as well. And look what happened. He got himself a personal best because he knew he had to do his absolute best to try and keep up with and perhaps even beat Dubitsky. But yeah, that's the adrenaline running as well.
Indeed. Well, surely the adrenaline is running when we see this beautiful shot here. The cameraman Max probably testing the zoom function on his camera here. You just saw the hashtag #KissMyAxe, hashtag STIHL TIMBERSPORTS. Let us know where you're watching. Let us know who your favorite is. Maybe let us know who you might think might win it today. As Troy said earlier, it's difficult to call today. I am, of course, joking. There is no Max here working on the cameras today, but it's a bit of a running gag here in the crew that all the camera people are called Max. Right, the crowd are ready to go. It looks like the prep team on stage also, a shout out to them. They come on, you don't see them. They work their magic in a matter of seconds, clear everything out so that the athletes can come on next. So thank you to all of you for the great job you do. We
like
are
an F1
ready
pit crew.
Absolutely. We are ready for Heat 4. And this is the Swede Emil Hansson going against the Brits, Glenn Pendleton.
So tail of the tape, we mentioned this a lot, and this is basically, an old boxing term, arm length. But tail of the tape here definitely gives the advantage to Emil Johansson. He has just a hair over a minute in this discipline and the national record for Sweden. Glenn Pendleton definitely a little bit slower as far as the personal best time goes, 1:23.59. But as we've seen, we can get improvements based on the pressure that these guys have being on stage together and knowing that the opponent on stage has a slightly faster personal best time. So Glenn Pendleton, who's an excellent athlete and one of those modern, really fit, lithe athletes.
He's not a massive guy, is he?
He's not a massive guy,
no. He does it through his athleticism.
He's very athletic and has power that's sneaky hidden.
He's won the British Championship several times, so he is not new to competition by any stretch. Like we said, his personal best a few seconds slower than Hansson's here, but anything can happen. This is Timber Sports. This is round 4.
Athletes ready.
And this is Emil Hansson from Sweden against Glenn Pendleton from the United Kingdom.
3, 2, 1, go!
Emil Johansson quick with that saw in position, and he's got himself a good cut. Glenn Pendleton not that far back as both of them careful to put their headgear down nice and easy. And Glenn gets a big slab coming off of that block right away. And Emil Hansson got a sticky axe there as he's got to clear some material out of the way. Both of them switching to the second side right at the same time. And they are on pace with each other. Another big slab comes off for Glenn Pendleton. And that axe is exploding pieces out of the block. Fantastic job. Emil Johansson first over to the single saw. He is a fantastic single sawer. Glenn Pendleton joining him here. Glenn Pendleton also good with a single saw, so the two of them should be well matched up here. And if Glenn Pendleton can have a real fast single saw, he might be able to catch up, but he gets a bit of a sticky one there and has to restart the saw, and that gives the advantage to Emil Hansson moving over to the standing block chop, and he gets going right away on the standing, and now Glenn Pendleton is through and moving over to standing. Glenn is excellent on the standing block chop, but Emil Hansson is onto the second side of his block, and it won't be long now before Emil Hansson is through, but he got a real sticky one there. Pendleton will probably shortcut that first side. He did do that, in fact, has moved on to the second side, but now it's just a matter of that block coming down for Johansson, or excuse me, Emil Hansson in 109.16. Glenn Pendleton trying to get through there with those power drivers, but he just left too much on that first side. Now it's just taking too much time. So 124.42 for Glenn.
Wow, Hansson again. It looked like he was conserving energy for moments there. A really strong performance. It's been corrected up a little bit. In fact, 108.88 now. So the second fastest today. And I think Glenn will be pleased with that as well. 124, that's a strong time.
Yeah, it's a fairly strong time, but I mean, these, like I said, these times aren't really the key here. It's about getting through the heat first.
Okay, the winner is Emil Hansson.
There's the confirmation from the referee. No infringements, no infractions. So Emil will go through to the quarterfinals, taking that time of 108.88 with him. And well done, Glenn. Good performance, sir. We'll see you probably next year again. the thing about Emil, watching him, he's such a great sportsman, is that he doesn't seem to have any weaknesses. You know, he smoothly, like a cat on the prowl, just goes elegantly from one discipline to the next.
This is very true. The only thing I would say about Emil Hansen is, as far as his skill level and his skill set is concerned, he is right there among the top in the world. And of course, you know, he has his dad, Hans-Ove Hansen, to thank for a lot of the training that he does, especially on the discipline of single saw. The one thing that kind of haunted Emil in the past is his mental state as he came on stage. If he had one small problem, it kind of affected his entire performance. But that has definitely been something he's been working on. And we can see now if something does come up, and a perfect example is earlier on in the year, he broke an axe and he didn't panic. He went and got the other axe, took the old piece out and kept cutting and managed to still get a good time. So his state of mind is very good. And I do believe we have Emil with an interview right now with Yolanda.
Emil, I heard you arrived very, very early this morning at 3 a.m. How does that impact your run today?
Yeah, of course, I am a little bit tired, but I know what to do when I come on stage, so it's just keep shopping.
Perfect. You were able to take part in the World Trophy this year at the start. You placed 5th there. So has that helped you in your training and prepping for the European Trophy here today?
Yeah, I have trained a lot for this competition, but I went sick for about a week ago, so my physics isn't with me, really.
Well, we wish you the best of luck for the next run. Back to you, Matt and Troy.
Thanks very much, Yolanda. Great interview. Great to hear from Emil as well. As we mentioned earlier, the two Swedes had a bit of a nightmare. Their plane got delayed. They didn't arrive until very, very late. And in fact, a certain amount of their kit didn't make it at all. So they're borrowing
single
stuff
saws
today.
are still kind of floating around out there somewhere, I think.
Somebody has gone to the airport and picked up a single saw and taken it home with them. Who knows? Okay, this is heat number 5. Anyway, we're going to see the Pole Grunwald go up against the Frenchman Courteau. So Grunwald is from this legacy family, isn't he? Tell us about that, Troy.
Well, I mean, Jacek Grunwald is the father of Simon, and I mean, Simon Grunwald came out of the rookies as a rookie world champion. He's got world records to his name. You know, the whole family is involved in timber sports.
His other brother was a rookie as well, wasn't he?
It's still in the rookies now, but I think he also will be moving into the pros after this season because of aging out. But, I mean, the whole group of them are just absolutely fit. They work together. We often see that they get together with Mika Dubicki and they all train together. So the Polish team in and of itself is an incredibly strong team. And any time that the team competition is up, the Poles are going to be a threat to the big names like the team from New Zealand or the team from Australia. So they're making strides every time they get out there. And Jacek Grunwald, as you mentioned, you know, we've got a legacy in the Grunwald family with Jacek and the two boys. And it just keeps getting better and better for them.
So you would expect, with a fastest time of 1:13 this morning from Grunwald, going up against Courteau's 1:42, you would expect this to be one-sided, but who knows? As we said, the wood has been hitting and cutting pretty slowly this week. It's pretty tough stuff out there, so if you were to get a knot, then who knows? Courteau, in fact, set a personal best this morning in the time trials of 1:42.
Yeah, his first time competing in this format as well, so there's a lot to be said for how well he's doing here today.
Here we go, this is heat number 5, Grunwald Courteau.
Oh, very nice start on the stock saw by Courteau, and he got that done. Jacek Grunwald put a little bit too much pressure on that saw and stalled the chain, so he had to get going again. Courteau, 3 drivers ahead of Grunwald on the underhand chop as they step onto those blocks, and Courteau chipping out very nicely. Grunwald, though, what power is he showing here as he came in late and switched to the other side, now ahead, 1 stroke ahead of Courteau on the underhand. They could both move over to that single saw at the same time. Looks like they've both got a pretty hard chop going on that second side, but it is Grunwald getting through there, and Courteau is being left behind now. as Grunwald starts on that single saw. Courteau trying to find his way through this block here with a very sticky axe, and unfortunately he's in a bit of trouble there as he's left a bit too much material in his way to try and cut through, and now he is really in trouble as Jacek Grunwald has moved off of the single saw and onto the standing block chop, and he is on side one, and it looks like this is going to be no problem for the 50-year-old, if you can believe that, as he is making short work of this block. And Courteau still struggling on that underhand chop. We may have a timeout here for Courteau, but Grunwald 1:15.11, great time for him. So he shows why at 50 years old he's one of the most fit athletes out there, and why their whole family stays really in good shape.
That really is extraordinary for the 50-year-old. Let's see what Courteau can do today. 1:42 in the time trial this morning. Like you said, he got really stuck on the underhand there.
Yeah, but on the underhand, I mean, that's the problem. He worked so hard on the underhand. He's got no more gas left for that single buck, and that single buck is a real bear to work when you are tired. And we've got 15 seconds left for him to get through that standing block chop.
I think we're going to DQ here.
And we're going to get a more than likely a 2-minute timeout DQ here, as he's only got 7 seconds left there to get through this block. And it was a valiant effort by Courteau, and it was a bit of a hiccup by Grunwald in the stock saw, and that gave Courteau an opportunity. But that second side, and it's just, you know, it's just mirroring exactly what Graham said to us earlier on. You got to have a good underhand chop to set yourself up well for the last two disciplines.
Yeah, he did time out just over 2 minutes there, the Frenchman Courteau, but like you said, it's all about being good in all 4 of these disciplines. That's what's so fascinating about Trophy. You can't be a one-trick pony. You've really got to have skills in all and have a little bit of luck in all, and he seems to get bogged
you
down.
Can't be a pony at all when you're doing timber sports. Sorry, mate.
Hopefully not offensive to anyone at all who identifies as a horse. I meant, of course, the expression that it's good to have multiple talents in this field. I mean, talking of multiple talents, look at him go.
Interesting
Grunwald
there.
is extraordinary, 50 years young.
We had a really thick cookie cut by Jacek Grunwald, but normally when we say thin to win, yeah, absolutely. But this was a very smart move by Jacek.
He stalled his machine, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he stalled his machine, but he had a very thick cookie, which means, look at the thinness of the cookie on his single saw. That left less material to bind on the single saw, so he could be quicker here. So it was a very smart move on his part to do that thick cookie.
Okay, we're going to go over to the stage, and Yolanda has got an interview with the Frenchman, Adrien Courteau. Beg your pardon, it's Eddie. Here we go, over to you, Eddie.
On the stage in Bellinzona with Adrien. Adrien, j'ai vu que tu as eu un peu la peine avec le deuxième truc. Qu'est-ce qui s'est en fait passé?
Eh ben, il s'est passé que j'ai eu un énorme nœud dans ma bille. Ça a cassé ma hache. Et du coup, j'ai pas bien drivé, je pense aussi, la première phase. Et ça fait que j'ai vraiment coincé sur cette épreuve. Ouais. Et puis, j'ai cramé toute l'énergie que j'avais. Pas facile de récupérer après, quoi.
Alors, c'est ta dernière. Tu veux saluer aussi. Tu veux dire quelque chose à tes fans qui sont là à Bellinzona?
Eh ben, il y a un super public à Bellinzona. C'est vraiment génial de voir autant de monde sur une compétition. Et que la fête soit belle et que tout le monde en profite, ça va être vraiment un très beau championnat.
Merci Adrien, bonne chance. On fait un applaudissement à Adrien. He said to me we have problem with the second chop at the beginning, and then he said beautiful atmosphere in Bellinzona, beautiful audience. Enjoy the time. Thank you. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Eddie. Great job. Very interesting stuff indeed. He said he got stuck on the second one there.
And you could see it. I mean, it was clearly obvious. He worked pretty much through the entire second half of that run that Jacek Grunwald was doing the single saw on the standing block chop. He was cutting only on the back side of that log.
Yeah, indeed. So talk me through the field that we've got at the moment. I mean, we've got 2 sportsmen under 110. We've got 6 in total under 120. So it's quite a spread field, isn't it? No one's really sticking out on their own at the moment.
Not yet. And by virtue of the way that the wood is cutting, we're seeing that the wood is very fair across the board. So everybody's kind of in the same circumstance. It's only by luck of just being super hard on the axe or on the saw that you are going to get through there quickly, like we saw with Jacek Grunwald. And if you remember in the highlights of Jacek Grunwald there, those last couple of drivers were just complete you know, Hail Mary shots to try and get that block off as quickly as possible, even though he wasn't really stressing too much about where Adrien Courteau was. And, you know, you could see sometimes you just have to go for it with power in order to get through these blocks the way they're cutting.
That's the sentence of the day. Sometimes you just have to go for it with power. I want to talk about last year's champion, 2023 champion, Knoll. He also finished 4th in the World Trophy this last year, but he had a poor time trial this morning. What do you think might happen there?
Well, Redmer's one of those guys in the past. He's been working real hard, but he's kind of been up and down. It's been sort of like a radio wave, you know, like this. But last year, he took a step at the World Trophy in Rotterdam, getting 4th place overall. Last year, he was the winner of the European Trophy. So he's got the skills.
Yes.
He just needs to put it all together. And I mean, you know, he told me earlier on, he's feeling good, but the wood's all cutting a little bit slower. And we've seen that across the board today for everybody. So it's about trying just to be a little bit faster than the next guy, right? It's like, you know, when you're getting chased by a bear, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than your buddy.
Let's see which one of these buddies is fastest in this round. This is heat 6. This is the Swede Ferry Svan, and he is going up against Zdeněk Máras.
Zdeněk has been a very impressive athlete for me today. First time out for him as well. And it's absolutely fantastic to see the time that he did do in the time trial. He had a 1:29.80, a personal best. Of course, that's going to be there because it's his first time in this discipline. But he looked really, really good. His stock saw was amazing, and his single buck was very, very nice. The chopping disciplines might be his weakness, especially on the standing. So we'll see if that adrenaline really kicks it up a notch for him, or if we're going to have an emerald moment where Ferry Swan has the sauce and the power and the spice for his run.
Well, this is getting interesting because their times were very similar this morning in the time trial. Ferry Swan put up a 1:26 and Máras a 1:29, although Swan, if I remember correctly, in his time trial was really flying until he got to the standing block chop, wasn't he? So we will see. This could be very interesting.
Okay,
you see the orange line separating the stage areas there.
And he's also not using his single saw. He borrowed a single saw from another athlete, as did Emil Johansson, because their single saws are still somewhere out there in the airport.
It will be very interesting to see if that plays a role. Athletes do like to work with their own equipment.
Athletes, ready!
So
Stand
this
to
is
your timber.
Heat number 6. This is Ferry Svan from Sweden against
go.
Máras from the Czech Republic.
So really nice start by both of these guys. And again, you can see Ferry trying to get that cut as close to the single saw as possible. Zdeněk Máras doing a great job on his cut as well. Like I said, he's strong with the stock saw in hand. Ferry Swan, look at the pace that he's cutting with though, and he really works that axe quickly. But oh my goodness, Máras looking great as well. Still working that first side, but comes over to the second side. 2 drivers behind Ferry Swan. And he's not looking too bad here today at all. Ferry Swan getting close to cutting through, and he is through. Máras is not far behind, I don't think, as that underhand chop was not that bad. He got it through, and now he's moving over to the single buck. So Ferry Swan with a huge advantage here in the single buck. Got a little sticky there, but kept that saw moving, and now he moves over to the standing block chop. Now he'll have seen out of the corner of his eye that Máras is still working on the single saw. Máras getting a little bit slow to the bottom of the cut. He's tired, you can see it. So this is where that fitness comes into play. And among all the timber sports athletes, Ferry Swan is probably one of the most fit, if not the most fit athlete as far as endurance is concerned. And you can see under power, under pressure, with that, you know, the lactic acid burning the muscles, he still managed to keep going at a 1:14.68. That's a great time for him today. Máras looking to try and improve here. He's on that second side of his standing block chop. I think he had a bit of a shortcut on the first side with the expectation of trying to catch up, and a great job for him with a 1:31.36. So you could see he was tired by the time that standing block happened. He was tired by the time he was in his single saw.
A shake of the head from Máras there at the end. He seems clearly disappointed. It's a few seconds slower than his time trial time from this morning. But Ferry Svan, he's needing to get the oxygen in. I can totally understand that, Ferry. You put it in, but he has really put himself in with a chance there. A time of 1:14.38. It's the 3rd fastest time today. and he's right up there with the other Swede, Hansson, in the top 3. So currently, with regards to times, it's Dubicki the fastest with 1:06, then Hansson 1:08, and then Ferry Svan 1:14.
All right, looking back at the slow-mos here, you could see I was actually really impressed, and I thought maybe Zdeněk was going to have a little bit of trouble with the chopping disciplines. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit full of salad there on the first side. He shortcut the first side.
It's not easy to turn, is
but
it?
He had a good turn. He was about a full driver behind Ferry Svan on the second side, but the second side, it took too much time on that second side. He was trying to find his way through with heavy drivers, and it just didn't work out. Now here, Ferry Svan is an absolute master with a single saw. And you know, you didn't see him physically look over at Zdeněk, but you can know that he is aware of where Zdeněk is, and Ferry Svan conserved a little bit of energy on that standing block chop, looking for the final driver to get it through. There it goes, and when that block dropped off the top, he turned and saw that Zdeněk was just moving over to the second side of his block. But this was a really good effort by that man right there. So good job by him, quite honestly. I'm really impressed how well he's performed today.
We saw there the beautiful sunshine lashing down on the crowd here. It's a big crowd. A lot of people have turned out for the European Trophy today here in Bellinzona in beautiful Switzerland. We are surrounded by mountains here, and I began the show today by saying that it's all about the mountains on stage. They are extraordinary athletes. I think maybe sometimes it's difficult for me to try to convey to people who haven't seen it live what big fellas these are.
These are big boys. I mean, they're very big boys. You know, some of them have 260, 250, 270 pounds, but you know, it's not like this. It's like this, you know, and these guys are very, very strong. They have a lot of power, but along with that power, they have some great accuracy. Speaking of accuracy, we have some upcoming events for you. Let's take a look what you can check on live stream and what's still to come this season, as we still have a little bit more action before our World Championship. So video on demand there, as you can see, from back in May, June, July, and in September we are now. So Swiss Pro Championship here in Bellinzona was yesterday. Today we have the European Trophy here. 8th and 9th of November is what a lot of people are going to be looking forward to. That is the Team World Championship and the Individual World Championship in Toulouse, France. So if you want to get more information, you can check out data.stihl-timbersports.com and get all what you need to know about timing for the schedule of the events. And also, if you want to find out more about our athletes, there's information about them there as well.
Beautifully done. You can probably hear our local host Eddie here in the arena announcing the 7th heat here. It's going to be Oliver Reinhardt, the reason for the noise, the Swissman there, going up against Graham Turner from the United Kingdom. He's getting a great support, isn't he, Reinhardt? Okay, as it says here, the first appearance at an international trophy from Graham Turner, but he's been there and done it and bought the T-shirt. He's been to the World Championships with the team. He's a solid competitor. And if he gets this right here, he should be looking to try and beat his time this morning of 1:36. That's got to be his target.
Okay, gentlemen.
Going to be a tough one up against Olli Reinhardt, who has 2 seasons of experience in the trophy format. He's had a little bit of bad luck with the trophy format in the past, though, cutting his finger in Vienna and then having a little bit of a problem last year. Although it was a solid performance, he wasn't quite there. So he's been training hard to make sure he's on point for this one. And let's see how he does today against Graham Turner.
To your timber. 3,
This is Reinhardt from
2,
Austria on the
1,
left against
go.
Turner from the United Kingdom on the right.
Good even start by both of the guys. Graham Turner looking like he's got a good cut there. Olli Reinhardt is, oh, that was a dead even drop for both of those cookies. Graham Turner over to the underhand chop. He's got some power. He needs to keep that going, though. And that block is chipping out nice for Turner. Reinhardt looking good as well. Both of them a little bit closed face on that first side. Turner moves over to the second side with Reinhardt. He almost went down. And both of them hitting tit for tat on side number 2 here. It's looking good. Who was going to get through that block first? Will it be Turner or will it be Reinhardt? Turner looking for it. And boy, it's going to be close, coming to the single saw. Olli Reinhardt under pressure now, as he knows Graham Turner's a good single sawyer, and Reinhardt's a nice smooth flow right there. Graham Turner a little bit chunky on his cut. Maybe he's gripping it too hard. Reinhardt is through. The crowd erupts with a huge applause for him as he gets moving on the standing block. Chop 1, 2, 3 drivers in as Graham Turner starts. Graham Turner's got power on standing. Does he have the endurance that he needs to catch up with Reinhardt? He'll probably shortcut the first side. Reinhardt on the second side now. He's coming close. Turner's over to the second side. It's going to be a close one here. Will it go to Ollie Reinhardt, or will Graham Turner make a big decision here and go for it? No, it's going to go to Ollie Reinhardt, and the crowd goes bananas behind him. Graham Turner kept the pressure on Reinhardt all the way through, and it was only 2 or 3 drivers difference. What a fantastic heat by Graham Turner, and another personal best, but it is going to be Ollie Reinhardt going to the next round. Ooh, that was an exciting heat.
Wow, that was close right up until the last couple of drivers. That was super close, and you just got the feeling that the crowd really just pushed Ollie over the limit there, didn't you?
Very much so.
Wow, but a great time as well from Turner, 1:26. That's 10 seconds quicker than his best personal best before that, which was set this morning. So an absolutely cracking achievement from both men.
And
Oliver Reinhardt!
And Graham did mention to us that he just needs to have a good underhand chop in order to set himself up for the rest. And it was a very good underhand chop.
Yeah.
Very good. It was like one driver slower than Ollie Reinhardt, but when he got to the single saw, Ollie's just was a little bit smoother. So I'd be curious to know what the side angle looks like on Graham Turner's stock saw cut here.
Turner left the saw first, didn't he? He was a couple of milliseconds ahead.
But that was minimum, very minimal.
You can see the wedges of wood just catapulting off the underhand chop here. They give it some welly, these boys do. So, yeah, Reinhardt nearly stumbled there, didn't he? That would have been a DQ. Right? No, there's...
only if he swings when his feet are on the ground.
Right.
So, you know, these guys are pretty good about knowing it. What we see is that the rookies often put a foot down and are mid-swing, and then they get disqualified. But if he's got a foot down, puts it back up, and then swings, he's okay.
But it might well have slowed him down, but it was good enough anyway. He set a time of 1:17.91. It's the 6th fastest time today, so he's definitely in and amongst it. Unfortunately, Graham Turner will be going home, but he'll be delighted with that time of 1:26.07. Okay, we can go over momentarily to the arena where Yolanda is interviewing the winner of that heat, Ollie Reinhardt.
Holy smokes, I'm here with Oliver Reinhardt. What a run. What a public display of affection you got here.
Yeah, I want to thank you all very much. You carried me all the way through, and I think I finished with a pretty good result.
Now you have 1 minute time to prep before the competition starts. What goes through your head then?
At the beginning it was don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, and then I stopped doing that, and now I just think, all right, place the X here and there, and you could just go.
I don't know what to say to that. Now, I noticed you stand behind the single buck when you do that event. So does that cost you any more time?
Oh yeah, that's because of my crooked brain. I just can't figure it out on the other side. Yeah, we'll just make it happen, I guess.
Best of luck to you in the next run. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Yolanda. Great interview. Thank you very much, Ollie. Apologies to any families who might have been listening to that for any language that you didn't appreciate, but that's the passion and excitement of sport. Right, we're going to see the 8th heat here of the round of 16. This is the giant Frenchman, Pierre Pubaret, going up against the giant Dutchman, Redmer Knoll. We spoke about Redmer earlier. He's definitely got credentials. He won it last year. He finished 4th in the trophy last year as well. But this year, he's yet to find his sweet spot, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything when you're dealing with a natural product like wood. Sometimes you get the hardwood, sometimes you get the softwood, sometimes you have a clean cut, sometimes it's a bit ugly with a bit of salad in there. But, you know, these are the things that all of these athletes have to deal with. Pierre Pubaret dealt with it in the French Championship. He didn't make it onto the top of the podium this year. So, you know, he would have repeated as French champion, I believe, for the 9th time in a row, and this time he didn't. So somebody else will be representing France at the World Championships this year. Redmer is a solid, stable competitor. He, after last year, and as I mentioned, he had a boost of confidence. He spent a lot of time in Australia. I think he was down there for 3 months training with the Australians. And you know, if he's been down there training with the Australians, he is
Athlete,
ready to go and
ready.
meeting business. Here we go.
Stand to your timber.
It's the Frenchman Puberty on the left in blue against the Dutch.
Go!
Knoll on the right.
Good start by both of them.
Knoll a little bit ahead.
Just by a hair, but not by much, and gets over onto that underhand chop. Now, what we have to watch out for here is Puy-Barré is an excellent single sawyer, so it would benefit Redmer definitely to get out of the underhand chop as quickly as possible and get that single saw going. And they're looking pretty good, both of them on that second side, but it looks like there's a slight advantage for Redmer Knoll here, and this is exactly what he needed here to get that single saw going against Puy-Barré. And it's a good start. He's got the flow going. He's using the entire length of this. Oh, a bit of an ugly hook up there. That took a long time to restart. And that means Puy-Barré, who has got good flow, has kept that saw going, is going to drop that cookie first and head to the standing just ahead of Redmer Knoll. Now Redmer's really got to get that work going behind him because he knows he's got Puy-Barré, and I see a knot, a big knot right in the middle of Redmer's block. That may cause problems, but he knocked it right out of there, so that's good. Redmer's shortcut the first side. He's on the second side. Puy-Barré, a half driver behind him on the second side. Will it be Puy-Barré's block, or will it be Redmer's block? It's coming close here. Puy-Barré's got a power hit there, and Puy-Barré going at 1:14.03 against Redmer Knoll, 1:15.47. One driver difference between those two guys, and Redmer Knoll is eliminated. Oh man, he's going to be gutted after that heat because he was so good on the underhand, and he got a bit of a sticky one on the single saw.
That is brutal. In 4 of the other heats, 1:15 would have been good enough to make the final, but that's the format here. It's not about the times, it's about whether you win the heat or not. Face to face, head to head, Puy-Barré with a time of 1:13.72, just 1.48 seconds faster than the Dutchman Redmer Knoll. Wow, they were close there. It was up and down, wasn't it? One discipline, then the next one, the next discipline. They were kind of passing the baton between each other.
Well, to be honest with you here, Puy-Barré is probably a little bit upset about not winning his championship at home in France. So
that's smart,
he was highly motivated here. Yeah, that one definitely was painful. But what I really liked watching here is both of these guys were battling hard. Now, I thought Puy-Barré was going to get through this block before Redmer from the angle that I saw, but Redmer was well ahead of Puy-Barré on the single saw. Now, if we watch what happened here on the single saw, Redmer got it started really nicely, but then he got all hooked up a couple of times, and that gave Puy-Barré, who is an excellent single sawyer, a chance to catch up. And once he caught up, it was all down to the standing block chop, and really both of these guys are pretty evenly matched up on the standing block chop, but Puy-Barré just had a little bit more power in his tank today. You know, and Puy-Barré's probably got a half head height difference and a little bit more power than Redmer does. And you can see here these last couple of drivers by Puy-Barré. He was looking winded, but he was focused on getting that thing down. And it was only one driver. And if we watch here, it was gone. And then one extra hit is all he needed. And had he got that first hit through, it would have been all Redmer Knoll in this one. So that was a really good battle between two giants in the sport. But unfortunately for Redmer Knoll, he is eliminated today in the competition. But if his time stands up, he should be among the top 10 that will move on here. So, yeah, we'll see.
Okay, let's take a look at the rankings then, as how it stands. So, from the 8 heats, we now have 8 winners who will go through to the quarterfinal. Quarterfinal 1 will be Klima Rossi. Final 2 will be Dubitsky Hanson. Final 3 will be Grönwald Swan. And final 4, quarterfinal 4, will be the local boy Olli Reinhard against the gentleman we've just seen, Puy-Barré. He is, of course, from France, Puy-Barré. And another thing that's going to happen in France soon will be the World Championships. If you don't have your tickets already, make sure you grab them. This is what it feels like. There we go, the World Championships, the individuals and the team events on the 8th and 9th of November in Toulouse. We were there last year in the Porsche Arena in Germany, and I can tell you it was absolutely electric, and I'm sure it'll be just as powerful this year in France. Right, here at the European Trophy in beautiful Bellinzona, Switzerland, we are through to the quarterfinal stage. We've got 8 competitors left. They'll go up against each other head-to-head in 4 quarterfinals, and we've got some juicy matchups here. What do you say to the first one, Clima Rossi?
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a good one. I mean, we saw Andrea Rossi earlier on in his heat in the round of 16 up against Armin Kugler, and I did mention that either one of those two guys could make it, and this time it was Andrea Rossi who got through. So now Andrea Rossi is going to have to depend on his fitness level, which is excellent, but he's also going to have to depend, excuse me, I missed my P, on his experience here, because he's going up against a young man, Matthias Klima, who is highly motivated here for the quarterfinal.
That's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to miss your P, do you?
Don't want to miss your P's and Q's.
That's what my grandmother always said, certainly. Okay, so you can see that stage beautifully nice and clean. There you go. What I love here is just in front of the stage. Look at that. It looks like there's been some kind of battle's gone on with all those wood chippings flown from the stage. It is beautiful weather here, lovely and warm, and the families are all out enjoying their timber sports.
Just regarding that picture that we just saw of all those chips and everything that do fly off of the stage, this is exactly the reason why we have this 7-meter gap between the stage front and where the audience is allowed to stand, because those chips
wouldn't want to get one of those in the
fly.
face, would you?
And if you see sometimes the guys that are standing on the standing block chop and chop, when they have a really good hit, that block will come down off the stage and roll a good distance once it hits the deck. So you can imagine there are people standing that close, there could be some injuries. So this is a safety aspect as well.
Right, we're getting to the business end of the competition now. We're in the quarterfinals. Matthias Klima has been quick all day, and he means business. He's got there's a presence about him today. He came to do something here, and it's quite interesting. Pubaredo, though, I beg your pardon, Rossi only grew up and learned his skills just a few miles down the road here, so he knows the area. He maybe knows the wood as well, which we were saying, and some of the athletes have been saying they feel that it's cutting quite slow today, right? Which makes it more challenging. It makes it harder in those muscles, right?
It does. I mean, you've got to work a little extra hard, and as I said when we saw Mikhail Dubitsky in his heat, he's a big man with a lot of power, but he needs the oxygen to feed those big muscles as well. So if you've got to work extra hard because of the way the wood is cutting or chopping, that means you need to really be fit. I mean, really fit.
This is quarterfinal, heat number 1. This is the Czech Matthias Klima going up against the Italian Andrea Rossi.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Dead even start by both of them on stock saw. Nice clean cut by both. Rossi a hair faster as he had to do a bit of a jive to get over to his axe on the underhand chop, but Matthias Klima, wow, big slab flying off of his block, and he is chipping out really nicely. This is looking like a nice piece of wood for Matthias Klima as they both switch over to the second side at exactly the same time, and now they're in sync with each other on that second side. Will that play a role? And see who's cutting well. It's going to be Matthias Klima going over to the single saw ahead of Andrea Rossi, who now joins about 3 or 4 strokes into Matthias Klima's run. Andrea Rossi solid on the single saw, but Matthias Klima is well deep into his cut. He needs to keep that flow going, and he gets hooked up. Gives Rossi a chance to catch up, but Matthias Klima,
close now.
It's going to be close. Matthias Klima starts on the standing block chop, but only one driver ahead of Andrea Rossi. Will Andrea Rossi make it to the semifinals, or will Matthias Klima be able to keep it ahead of him? He moves to the second side, a bit of a shortcut on that first side, or no? Actually, it looks pretty good. 7 hits on that first side, and he is on that second side, and Matthias Klima does it in 1:11.22, improving on his time from the time trials even more. And Andrea Rossi, he's got a good time as well, 1:18.49. He's happy with that, but he is eliminated, and Matthias Klima will go to the semifinals. This is getting getting interesting now.
It really is, isn't it? There was a moment there on the standing block chop where Klima needed to use his hand just to nudge something away. Did you see that? A chip came out, and then, sorry, with his axe, he had to knock it away. There was also a moment in the stock saw where he got caught, but he recovered. It's that mental strength to be able to just breeze past it and power on, right?
Yeah, sometimes you see a chip hanging there, and, you know, on the standing, especially if that chip is hanging there in the way, it could explode towards your face, or it could just... It could stop your cut cleanly, and unfortunately, you gotta get it out of the way. Otherwise, you know, that could play a role in how well it cuts. Now, these guys both had excellent stock saws. I mean, you don't get any more evenly matched as that. Rossi just a hair quicker on the cut. You know, that's the experience coming into play there. But Matthias Klima got onto that underhand chop, and if we watch the underhand chop from the front side, some massive block or chips flying off of Matthias' block, and here on the second side, Matthias was excellent. You could see the accuracy of his hits were right on point as well. And he got through there. He knew that block was cut. He didn't worry about whether or not there was a thread hanging on. Now here, Rossi is an excellent single sawyer. Matthias Klima very good as well, but Matthias got a bit of a sticky one towards the bottom, and that gave Rossi a chance to catch up. And luckily, Matthias is usually the guy that backs up their team on the standing block, so he knows that discipline very well. Went to the second side, and you can see here a beautiful final driver. He had a lot of material there, but he's got a lot of power behind him as well, so that definitely helped him.
Okay, fist bump there from Rossi, but it wasn't enough. Klima was the winner. We're
I'm here with Matthias Klima. How do you train for this event?
I just train like for normal events, normal championships. Just put smaller breaks between logs, and yeah, just go for it. Nothing too special.
So now you have a little bit of time until your next round. What do you do in this time? Do you lay down, take a nap, or do you mentally prepare for the next round?
Well, you have to prepare your axes. You have to clean them, all them again. As same as single saw, you have to mark your blocks for the next round, so you don't have enough time for nothing, mainly. So yeah, it's just working something and then go for another heat.
Excellent. We wish you the best of luck in the next round. Back to the studio.
Matthias Klima there, taking it all in his stride.
Yeah.
Cool interview. I said, he's just sort of sending those messages today with his body language or whatever. He means business.
He does, and he looks very relaxed. I mean, all things considered, for a young man who's only been in the pro ranks 2 seasons, he looks very accomplished, very relaxed, and as though he is ready to go. I mean, he is on point right now to go to that final round, and we may well see him in the finals. He's in the semifinals, so he just needs to keep cutting as well as he has been, and he'll be there.
Somebody else who's been there is Michał Dubicki. We saw their 5-time national Polish champion. He's going up here against 2-time national champion Emil Hansson. So back home, these boys certainly set the standard, and they're going up against each other right here. 2 potential winners right here, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, when we look at the guys that make it into the round of 16, through that entire list, there are potential winners.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes the luck of the draw, literally. You know, you see these guys cutting well, sawing well, chopping well. So it's really, you know, anybody's game. And as we always say, anything can happen in there. We saw Redmer Knoll, who looked fantastic on the day, just had 1 half driver, too little up against...
Okay, gentlemen. Warm up your swords.
Excuse me, I just had a little bit of a brain meltdown there up against Puy Barret.
It happens to the best of us. Let's hope there are no brain meltdowns on stage here, or any equipment meltdowns. We've got the Swede in yellow on the right.
Stand to your timber.
The Pole Dubicki on the left.
Go!
Hansson Dubicki.
Dubitsky quick in the block with that saw, and again he goes for a little bit of a thicker cookie, got some angle on that one, but Hansen is first over to the underhand chop. And as we've seen, the new style of underhand chop and standing block is with quick axe head movement. Wow, Hansen over the second side of his block in a flash.
That is quick.
Dubitsky onto the second side of his block. Could we have an upset here between these two guys? A big split by Hansen. That's going to cause problems for him as that block came apart on him, and now both of them move over to the single bucket at about the same time. Hansen absolutely fantastic with the single saw, and you can see here using that long Swedish style as he is through and heads over to the standing block chop. Now he is really under pressure because he knows Dubitsky is an incredibly powerful standing block chopper, and he is working hard to try and beat this big man from Poland. And he's moving over to the second side. Dubitsky onto the second side. He's looking for that heavy driver to get through there quickly. Will Hansen be able to do it? It's wiggling and waggling for the Swede, but he's got a little bit of work still. Oh my God! Oh my God! Dubitsky comes from behind and blows through the block with tons of material left over, with an absolutely massive heavy hit, and just beat Hansen by one driver. Holy smokes, folks, that was insane.
That is outrageous. Hansen was absolutely dominating the entire event. He was flying, and his time is brilliant, 1:05.50. But it still wasn't enough. Dubitsky just came out of nowhere there. What happened?
Yeah, Dubitsky's just got a massive amount of power. As you saw, he came in about 2 or 3 strokes behind.
Yeah, but Hansen was dominating until then, and then there was just this explosion, right?
And on that last driver, there was probably more material than anybody else could have cut through, but because Dubitsky's such a powerhouse, he hammered through that whole block with that axe, and he made the right axe choice today for the standing block chop. Absolutely so. Dubitsky moving on to the semifinals. Let's look at this again.
Heat of the day. That was just incredible. Those are those fine margins in timber sports. He's won by not even 1 whole second, and you just felt he was in control. He was so smooth through the first 3, wasn't he, Hansen?
Absolutely. I mean, he looked so good. He could have been a bit faster over to the underhand chop, but he was careful about his equipment on the deck there, and he moves over here. Now, what I really want to see is the slow-mo from Dubitsky on that last driver, because he had a ton of material still in the way there. Now watch the split here, this block split.
That was key, wasn't it?
That was a
oh my
tough
God,
situation.
That's that second right there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Hansen got over to the single buck ahead of Dubitsky, but not by a lot. Now we know Hansen is incredible with the single buck. He was through it, and Dubitsky actually wasn't that far behind, but Hansen knew Dubitsky was on him. You can see here, Hansen already moving over to the first couple of drivers. He was about 3 drivers ahead of Dubitsky as they started on the standing block chop. Now let's watch Dubitsky's standing block chop a little bit. Watch this last driver from Dubitsky on the second side. Tons of material in the way, bang! He blew that thing apart like it was done and dusted with a hot knife through butter. And another shot. Look at how much material is there. Insane. And you can see how much relief was on Dubitsky's face, because he knew absolutely that Hansen is an excellent man on the standing block chop. That was an incredible heat between these two guys, and to be honest with you, it could have gone either way, but this time the luck of the draw was definitely in Dubitsky's side.
Wow, what a heat. That is what timber sports is all about. That is what the trophy format is all about. You know, domination from one athlete and then just under a second between them. What we've got to remember is, I mean, Emil was saying to us earlier that he hasn't been feeling good recently. He said that he feels a little bit out of form, a little bit out of touch in the last week. His plane only got him here several hours later. He arrived at 3 o'clock in the morning. Some of his equipment's not here, and he still put up a 105. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, you can't make any excuses. You can talk all you want. Sure, having the flu, that's going to draw the energy out of your body. But to be honest with you, it didn't look like he had missed a beat here on stage.
It was incredible.
He was right there the whole time. Dubitsky was behind the 8 ball, and I thought for sure that Emil Hansen would be able to do it. And it was just one driver, too few for Hansen on that standing block chop, because the power of Dubitsky is just unmatched.
The other extraordinary thing about this format is not only is it wild and fast and there's 4 events in one, the fascinating thing is it's head-to-head.
Yes.
It's not actually about the times. So although the two of them set 105s and 104s, Hansen is going home now, gutted, and that is the 3rd fastest time we've seen the entire day.
Exactly.
And he's going home.
Exactly.
Because of the nature of that format.
The adrenaline ramps up. The guys are cutting with more power, with more urgency, you could say, and they know, especially when they get on stage with a guy like Hansen and Dubitsky on stage together, they absolutely know
they push each other.
They're pushing each other, right? There's a balance that is struck between the guys when they get on stage, and through each round, as the competition gets harder and harder and harder, you start to see the guys perform. It's called playing up, and that's exactly what happened here. Hansen, very good. Excellent axeman, excellent Sawyer, and he knew up against Dubitsky, he needed to be at that standing block chop at least 4 strokes ahead of Dubitsky because of how good Dubitsky is in that discipline.
Indeed. Wow. And absolutely, you can feel the excitement here. That was what Timbersports is all about. Right. We've got the message that we're ready on stage.
Yes.
So let's check out the graphic for the competitors in the next heat. Here they are. It's another Swede. It's another gentleman who only arrived at 3 in the morning. And he is Ferry Svan, and he's going up against Grunwald from Poland. Look at those personal bests. 104 and 1 and change for Ferry Svan. So this, again, this could be fireworks here.
Yeah, this has been a bit of a sticky wicket, let's call it, for Ferry Svan in the last little while. He hasn't really had the kind of results he's wanted to have in the trophy format in the last few years. He has been solid every time, but there's been always one kind of, I don't know how to put it, it's always been one kind of niggly thing that's been bothering him. Either it's been an axe, it's been a saw, it's been a block, or
the complete package hasn't been there, right?
Yeah, there's always been one thing that sort of bothered him or hasn't been at 100% for him, and so he really needs for his own confidence, he needs to have a good run here today. That said, I mean, during the time trials earlier on, it was Jacek Grunwald who had the 2nd fastest time, so Ferry knows this. He's got it in mind, but he also knows that the time trial has nothing to do with what's happening on stage now. Right now, it's all about what he has to do in order to get the fastest time possible and get past Jacek Grunwald. The question is if he can do it.
I mean, this is the thing about this sport, right? The world record stands at 52 seconds. You could technically put up a 53 and still not go through, right? It's not only about the times, it's about that competitive edge, and it's about winning the heat. This is the 2nd heat in the quarterfinals.
Athletes ready.
This is Grunwald versus Svan. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, good start by Ferry on the stock saw, but Grunwald is an excellent
Bit of an angle there, right?
Yeah, a little bit of an angle, but that doesn't seem to bother him too much. And Ferry Svan, with that quick axe, gets going on the underhand chop right away. Jacek Grunwald, though, he also has a quick axe, and for a 50-year-old man, he is incredibly fit, but that runs through the whole family. Ferry Svan was already on the other side of his block. He's about 4 strokes ahead of Jacek Grunwald on side 2. Let's see who comes through there first. It's looking very good for Ferry right now, though, as he heads over to the single saw. This is a borrowed saw that he's using from one of the other competitors. Jacek Grunwald now about 4 or 5 strokes behind Ferry Svan on single, and single is looking very good for Ferry. So if he can keep that pace going onto the standing block, and he doesn't want to waste any time here. He doesn't want to rest on his laurels. And a breakout by Jacek Grunwald means that he needed to stay on that block and cut the tab away, which gave a huge advantage to Ferry Svan, who's on side number 2 here. And this looks like a very good time for Ferry Svan. It's not going to be a personal best by any stretch of the imagination, but he should be through.
Oh, look at that!
Before Jacek Grunwald, and he's done it in 1:03.89. A fantastic run by Ferry Svan, and he will move on to the semifinals with Jacek Grunwald eliminated today. And that man, what a performance today up to this point, has been excellent.
He really has. He really has. He's had a great day, but it just wasn't enough there. It's a time of 1:10.86. Not a bad time in itself, but wow, Ferry Svan meant business there. 1:03.42. It's just been corrected marginally down. He just glided across the stage there, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked very smooth today, so this is definitely something that Ferry Svan needed for his headspace as well, knowing that he's going up against such a good competitor in Grunwald.
That is comfortably the fastest time that we've seen today at any stage. So the Swede, despite only having a couple of hours sleep, and despite having to borrow some tools, is at the moment in the semi-finals, and with a heck of a chance for the title here.
Yeah.
I said when we saw that live, there was a bit of an angle there. Does that affect the cut from Grunwald?
It takes longer to make the cut.
Yeah.
It's basically all there is to it. I mean, it's not much, but it's it's definitely longer to make the cut, and that affects how fast you can get over to the underhand chop. And you can see here, here's about 4 or 5 drivers behind Ferry Swan on the underhand chop. And once Ferry Swan gets over to single buck, he's so solid on that discipline, as are all the Swedes, that there was really the only chance for Grunwald to catch up is if he had like almost world record speed on that single saw.
And then he had a really nasty hook, didn't he, Grunwald, here on the stock saw?
He did. The cookie broke out because that the misery whip took its name for real there and bent, and the cookie broke out. So Jacek needed to stay on the block and cut that tab away, and he did a good job to stay with it. Now right there, Ferry Swan had that last driver and it fell off, and that was the time for him.
We can hear from the Swede, Ferry Swan. He is with Yolanda.
I'm here with Ferry Swan. Congratulations, what a run. Now, if you want to get to the last round, you have to divide up your energy. What do you do? How do you do that?
The thing is to get a good time qualification so you can, not get on the good guys too early in the competition, so you can save some energy then.
Now, you have 4 disciplines in these rounds. What is your favorite part of the trophy format?
I guess it's when you're finished.
That's a good one. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the next round and hope that you make it all the way. Back to you guys.
Great to see that even with only a couple of hours sleep, he's still got a sense of humor.
Or maybe that's why he has a sense of humor. It's when you're finished. That's fantastic. I love
Thank you to Yolanda for asking the questions there. Yolanda Gniniger, of course, Timber Sports athlete herself, and she helps out in the media team here by Timber Sports every so often. Thank you for that. Right, this is heat number 4 in the quarterfinals. It's going to be the last one. We're going to hear a bit of an uptake in noise, I fancy, here in the arena, because
Guaranteed.
Pierre Puy-Barré from France is going up against the Swiss local boy, Oliver Reinhard.
So the 8-time French champion in the individual category will take his experience and his power and his knowledge up against the young man, Ollie Reinhard, who has also only been in the pro ranks for about 2 full seasons now. And as I said before, the trophy format has been a bit of a tough one for Ollie Reinhard in Vienna. He cut his finger really badly and was not allowed to continue on, even though it wasn't like a very big threatening injury. But the organizers deemed it a safety risk that he continued to battle away. And then I believe he had a DQ in Rotterdam, but I can't be 100% sure on that one. But all in all, he's not had a lot of luck with the trophy format in the last little while. So this is going to be, hopefully, his comeback tour. All right, saws are warmed up. Guys are getting ready to go.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, good start by both of these guys. Nice and even cuts. Ollie Reinhard looking like he's pretty quick, but yeah, he got his gear down and off quickly and over to the underhand chop as fast as possible. He knows that Pierre Puy-Barré is excellent on the underhand. Puy-Barré chipping out very nicely. Ollie Reinhard, shortcut on that first side. He is onto the second side. Puy-Barré right there with him, though. He moved over to the second side, about a stroke and a half behind Reinhard. Will Reinhard get through before Puy-Barré will? It's going to be a good one. Yep, it's got it. Reinhard is over to the single buck, and now he's really got his work cut out for him. He's about 4 strokes ahead of Puy-Barré on the single saw, but Puy-Barré is excellent. Look how quick Puy-Barré is on the single. It is unbelievable.
Oh,
Reinhard
my goodness.
at the bottom. He's got a piece broken off of his cookie. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And Ollie Reinhard on the standing block now. He's got to be quick. He can't rest on his laurels here at all. Puy-Barré looking hard on that first side. Reinhard definitely shortcut on the first side, only about 5 or 6 drivers in. And will Reinhard be able to do it? Puy-Barré moving over to the second side of his block. Reinhard looking tired, a couple of straight drivers. But it's going to be Reinhard, and the audience goes bananas once again. Fantastic. And it was only about a driver and a half difference, maybe 2 drivers between the two of them. But Reinhardt is going to the semifinal to the delight of the Swiss crowd here.
We are going to see a Swiss athlete in the semi-final. That's going to be Oliver Reinhardt with a time of 1:12.69. It's one of the slowest in all of the heats, but we've said it before, it really doesn't matter. It's all about whether you win the heat, and that's what Oliver Reinhardt did. There's the confirmation from the referee. There's the fist held aloft, and there's the call from the crowd. They loved that, didn't they?
Yeah, they were absolutely into it, and I mean, they supported him all the way through that heat. You could see here, he had a really good stock saw. Puy-Barret, no hesitation by the Frenchman at all. He got into that cut immediately. Now you can see here, both those cookies drop at the same time. And Reinhardt opting to go for the Oropax, the little earplugs.
Yeah, it doesn't have the big ear defenders on.
Doesn't have to bother with taking them off. He just takes the glasses off, leaves them on the ground, and moves over there. You see a real sticky axe from Puy-Barret. And again, this is a lot about axe choice, because you want to choose the right axe for the wood. If you don't want that axe sticking too much, and some axe grinds blow the wood out better than others, and Puy-Barret maybe didn't make the right choice for the underhand here today. And on that single block, wow, look at that cut from Reinhardt, and look at the cut from Puy-Barret. He got stuck at the bottom, otherwise he probably would have caught up. And that difference there, 2 drivers at the end of the standing block chop, really was all it was between the two of these guys, with a very close time as well. And you can see Puy-Barret super clean with his cuts, absolutely fantastic. And there, that last driver from Reinhardt, and look at the relief right there from that young man from Switzerland. Fantastic job.
He loved it, didn't he? A glance up at the time, it's sadly not good enough, and you can see from the reaction from the crowd, it was Reinhardt, the Swiss, who will go through to the semis. So we are through to the second last round. We're going to see 2 semi-finals. It'll be Klima against Dubitsky in the first semi-final, and then Ferry Svan against Reinhardt in the second semi-final. Too close to call these ones.
Too close to call is right. And Klima, as I mentioned earlier, had the fastest time in the time trial. Michael Dubitsky, not as fast in the time trial, but he tends to get stronger the longer the event goes on. So Klima against Dubitsky in that first semi is going to be really, really interesting.
What will also be interesting will be this interview over on stage with Yolanda.
I'm here with Andy Hall, one of our judges on stage today. So when the athletes are setting up, there's 4 events all in one. So what are you watching for?
Okay, so when the athletes come on deck, we time them. They get 60 seconds to get ready for the start. So they have to place their axes safely in the blocks that are on the deck. If they fall out at any time, that's a disqualification because it infringes safety rules. And then when they move over to the single buck, we measure them in a 35 centimetre starting cut, and that gets us all ready for go. And from then on, we're into the starting cadence. But all that has to be set up in the first 60 seconds.
Now, as a judge, I can imagine it's not that easy. What is your least favorite part of this job?
Well, the guys who worked so hard to get here, and we're at the end of the season now, pretty much. So the worst part of the job is having to give a disqualification, or a DQ as we call it. There's numerous ways that can happen. In the time trial this morning, 3 guys sadly had disqualifications. 2 guys for safety infringement. We have a red line down the bottom of the deck. Their safety equipment passed over to the other side. That's a disqualification. Another competitor sadly didn't make the time allowance of 2 minutes. That got him a DQ. And every discipline that's on the deck, all 4, they have their own rules, competition specific. And if they infringe those rules, that's going to be a DQ.
Thank you so much, Andy. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Yolanda. Fascinating insights there from Andy Hall, the umpire who's been with Timbersports for many years. He's seen a lot of competitors. And you can see it's nice to hear that they also have a heart and they don't actually like disqualifying people. It kind of goes against the stereotype of referees, doesn't it?
No, I was talking with Andy Hall and Bart Janssen earlier because I wanted to just clarify this rule about the equipment going across the middle of the line. Yeah. And both of them said neither of the judges, none of them actually, any of the judges like to provide disqualifications because you're just not good for the sport, you know. But That's the part of the rules that these guys have to adhere to. And, you know, it is a safety violation. If you go and a piece of equipment ends up on the other stand and the guy steps on that piece of equipment on his way over to the next discipline and hurts himself, then that's a problem. So that's one of the reasons why they have these safety regulations in place.
Indeed. I was speaking to Andy as well earlier about just those disqualifications in the time trials this morning, because we felt, you and I felt, that when Danny Martin dropped his safety goggles, that he just dropped them. He didn't even throw them. He had no intention of them going over the line.
Yeah.
And Andy Hall, the referee, confirmed to me, in no place does it say in the rules about intention. It's just about the black and white.
I didn't intend to drive 20 through the, or 200 through the 30 zone and hit a person, but, you know, exactly. And in the individual competition, if you feel like something is not the right call by the judge, you can contest that or go to the judges and say, I don't agree with that. But in the trophy format, there is no chance to do that. So if you infringe on the rules, it's checked double and triple by the judging crew, and then that's the decision that's made, and that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. Right, we are down to the business end of the competition. You're looking at semi-final number one of the European Trophy 2024. You're looking at the Czech Klima on the left, going up against the Pole Dubitsky.
So the pressure is now on Dubitsky to hold off this young man Klima as they head over to the underhand chop together. Now both of these guys have power. Both of these guys know exactly what they need to do. The difference here might be the vim and vigor of the young man from the Czech Republic, Maciej Klima, who is over to the second side in his block ahead of Dubitsky. And Dubitsky might just be a little bit tired after battling so hard for these first two rounds to get there. And they both split that log at the same time.
Ooh,
so now it's going to come down to who's got the cleanest single saw between the two of them. And right now it's looking like this is going to belong to Dubitsky, which gives him a distinct advantage on the standing block chop, where he is a killer. Klima now moving over to standing, and he is about 4 or 5 strokes behind Dubitsky on the standing block chop. Dubitsky will move to the second side now. Klima not that far behind, trying to get through there. Does he have enough power to beat the pole here? It's going to be a tight one, maybe. Nope, this one definitely belongs to Dubitsky. He had this one locked down, and oh no, we got a split block there by Maciej Klima, and that just makes it life so much harder because the block wiggles too far with each driver. We'll see that in the slow-mo, hopefully. A vertical slit appeared in the block from Maciej Klima, so he is eliminated.
Heartbreak for Klima here. Yeah. He meant business today. He's been great all day, and it just seemed that the luck was against him there in the final discipline. That vertical split makes it incredibly difficult. The energy gets taken out of every driver, and it means, although he's a little bit out of breath, Mikhail Dubitsky with a time of 1:01.87, the fastest time by quite a bit today. He will take the first space in the European Trophy final today.
He will. Maciej Klima will go into the small final or the consolation final. Let's take a look back at this run here between these two guys. And Maciej Klima, as I said, he's been going from strength to strength, and that was an incredible run from Maciej. Both of them really good on the stock saw. And Maciej was actually quicker with the cut, but you know, you can't be just quick with the cut and be dead even with a guy like Mikhail Dubitsky unless you absolutely know that your chopping is on point. Now, here, both of them drop those axes in the safety blocks and head over to the single buck. The single buck was the advantage for Dubitsky. He got to that standing block chop about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers ahead of Maciej Klima. And so that was a massive disadvantage because of the absolute power. We saw this in the earlier round. It's almost like Dubitsky could cut through that thing without having to go through that first side very deeply. Maciej did a great job to try and catch it, but look at how much material is remaining there, and he just cuts through it like it's butter. It's insane, the power that Dubitsky has. Maciej Klima, though, is not that far behind. Now, you can see that massive split there. Every time the axe hits the block, the whole block moves, takes away the power and the cutting power from the axe, and then he just had no chance against the guy like Dubitsky.
Wowee, great sportsmanship here, great speed. Hashtag STIHL TIMBERSPORTS on all the social channels. Keep us up to date. Vanessa's been charging around the arena today, making all sorts of videos and interviews and photos or whatever. Like, comment, subscribe, get involved in the conversation. It's the original extreme sport, and I tell you, it's an absolute barrel of laughs, and it is fantastically entertaining as well today. We've got one athlete in the final already. That is Dubitsky. Klima, I don't want to be too critical, but did he peak too soon today? Because he put a lot into the earlier rounds.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he won the time trial, and that was to his advantage in the time trial because it gives him a chance to go against the guys with the slower times in the time trial. That doesn't mean those guys are going to be slower than him, but it gives him a mental advantage. And we saw in that first heat, he kind of sauntered to the standing block chop because he knew he had a distinct advantage.
Yeah, it felt
there.
like he was conserving energy, didn't it?
A little bit, yeah, and that could be a tactical thing by Klima as well. So now it comes down to this semifinal between a couple of guys who were in the rookies together, a couple of guys who came up together into the pro ranks. They know each other very well. They're friends, but on stage right now, there's nothing friendly going to be going on.
No, there isn't. This is going to be very interesting. This is one of maybe the most athletic sportsmen on the tour here. This is Faris Van going up against the undeniable local hero here, Oliver Reinhardt. It feels like there are 2001 competing against Faris Van here. This is going to be a real challenge for him. It will be very interesting to see whether the crowd getting loud will help Reinhardt and really push him, or whether it might come across as a bit of extra pressure for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Ferry Swan's been the trophy champion in the past. 2021, Ollie Reinhardt was 8th place in 2022. Both of these guys definitely have the skill set to be atop the podium here. It's going to come down between these two guys to who can keep the flow going and keep their emotions in check here.
So the steel chainsaws are warmed up, so they're ready to go. There are 4 disciplines, remember. But only one of these athletes can make it through to the final.
Stand
in yellow on the left,
your
it's the
timber.
Swede, Faris Van, going up
2,
against
1,
the Swiss
go.
on the right, Oliver Reinhardt.
All right, Ferry Swan quicker into the block, but it looks like a very clean cut from Ollie Reinhardt as both TikTok cookies hit the ground at the same time, and they both move to the underhand chop at the same time as well. Ferry Swan with the pace on that axe is getting in there really fast. He'll switch to the second side any second now, but both of them going onto that second side at the same time. Really good matchup here as Ferry Swan got a bit of a sticky one there. Maybe that's an advantage for Ollie Reinhardt. Looks like, oh my goodness, who's going to get through there first? It's going to be Ferry Swan. One more driver for Ollie Reinhardt as he heads over to that single buck. We know Ferry Swan's borrowing somebody else's saw in the single buck discipline here, and Ollie Reinhardt with that awkward position that he's standing in now has to do a little bit of catch up here heading towards the standing block chop. Ferry Swan on standing, Ollie Reinhardt really good on standing though. Ferry Swan, he knows the pressure's on. Ollie Reinhardt's got some power. Ferry deep on the first side, moves to the second side. Ollie Reinhardt's still on his first side, I believe, or is he moved? Oh, he's still on the first side, so this is a problem for Ollie now as Ferry Swan drops it, and he'll go to the final, and Ollie Reinhardt will end up going to the small final, so he is going to be battling with Matthias Klima for 3rd place on the podium today, and the Swede is going to be going up against the Pole in the final.
Oh, wow, he didn't read the script, Ferry Svan. The crowd wanted it to be a local boy, a Swiss, but Oliver Reinhardt, who's been fantastic all day, just falling short of the final hurdle there. Ferry Svan with a time of 1:08.62, and you fancy, looking by his body language, he's still got one to go. Ferry Svan will be in the final with Mikhail Dubitsky.
Ferry Swan.
Yeah, and he's going to need every ounce of that energy that he has in that final against Mikhail Dubitsky because, as we saw, Mikhail Dubitsky is on point today. I don't know if it was a tactical decision the way that he did his time trial, but you know, the time trial for Mikhail Dubitsky wasn't incredibly slow, but it wasn't incredibly fast either. He had the 4th fastest time trial. You know, obviously he wanted to be on top during the time trial, but maybe he relaxed himself into the time trial a little bit more in order to be able to set himself up with a little bit more energy through the rest of the round here. And, you know, Ferry Swan, coming here at 3 o'clock in the morning, having very little rest, getting here, not having his single saws, having to borrow a single saw from somebody else. I mean, we talked to him earlier on. He said, yeah, I got my axes with me. I just don't have my single saw.
Maybe he should turn up late for every event. I mean, it gets him through to the final, isn't he?
Yeah, very possibly.
You know what? I'll just turn up to the Worlds with no saw, if you don't mind. I'll use somebody else's, because I'm Ferry Svan, and I'm just great at what I do.
I forgot my socks at home. I think I'll win today. Why not?
Just pure athleticism.
Absolutely.
Let's give a shout out, though, to Oliver Reinhardt as well. Great day today. And it's not only because of that crowd that we've mentioned a few times. He's got the moves as well, right? He knows how to play this sport.
Yeah, and this is definitely one of the better returns to action by Ollie Reinhardt. It's great to see him in form. It's great to see him performing well as we take a look at the semifinal heats there and who will go to which of the finals. So small final will be Maciej Klima against Ollie Reinhardt, and then the final will be Michał Dubicki and Ferry Svan.
Okay, welcome back to the studio. So we've got our two finalists.
We
talked about a few names as the day went on, but it became clear as the competition developed that Dubicki and Svan, they've got that little bit extra today, right?
They do seem to have a little bit extra. For Svan, it's extra wind. For Dubicki, it's extra power. As we saw, those last two drivers on those last two heats were just incredible. He cut through that block like it was butter. So good choice of axe and good wood as well. Speaking of wood, we use a lot of it here, and a lot of people ask us, well, what do you do with it when it's done? We're not wasting it, folks. Let's take a look at how we do use our wood with our sustainable wood management.
We as STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
There's still some wild out there, but to look for it, you need something that can look adventure in the eye. Something built wild. You need a Bronco.
So you heard his dulcet tones and you saw his face hiding behind the bushes there in the first clip. We're now joined in the studio by Spike Milton. For those who don't know Spike, very briefly, what's your role here at Timbersports?
Okay, so my role here at Timbersports is the Global Sports Director, and I do a huge amount of work towards the wood prep, the selection, and more importantly, I'm the athlete's voice. You know, everything they want to know about the sport, they have new developments and stuff like that. We work as a team to get it sorted.
Indeed, and that team travels for many years, right? They start as rookies and you help develop them, and then one day they make the step into the pros. You were telling us that there are a couple of rookies who you've worked with over the years who are here today in the finals, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the semi-final, 3 rookies from the academy. I mean, that for us, the evolution of the sport, let's say, they're up there now, and 1 in the final. It's fantastic.
So, Spike, we're heading towards Toulouse at the end of the season. We've got one more event in Czechia before we head over to Toulouse. What can we expect from these athletes as we head to Toulouse? Because we always see an uptick in the World Championships when we have the team competition as well as the individual competition. What kind of things can we expect from this particular year? Because there's been such a changing of the guard over the last years that we're seeing a lot of new fantastic talent join us at the World Championships.
Yeah, obviously, you know, the Southern Hemisphere are always strong. But look at Europe now, as we talked about the evolution a little earlier. That's where Europe is coming from now. And, you know, we've had a lot of help on the way. We've had a lot of great ideas, but it's a big team push. And I can't thank all the trainers, the coaches globally enough.
So today we've seen, as you mentioned, 3 rookies in this competition. What's just some last words about what we've seen here today with the trophy format and what we can expect to see in the coming years with this format as well, because it is really a very challenging format for these athletes.
Yeah, the big thing is, and obviously you'll see in the final, is the fact that they are athletes now.
Yes.
You know, the amount of training and preparation that they put into it is massive. And that, I think, is where the younger generation is shining through.
Indeed, indeed. Maybe a quick word about the location here, Bellinzona. Beautiful location, great crowd as well, supporting the Swiss. He didn't make it to the final, but how have they welcomed the team here in Bellinzona this week?
Bellinzona, absolutely beautiful. If you haven't been here, make it a wish list for a weekend. But the crowd, the audience, they're fully behind everything. The support is phenomenal. Hospitality. And the sun is shining. Come on, what more?
It
can you
is,
ask
isn't
for?
it? What more could you ask for?
Yeah, it gets a little warm in our box here, as it were. Now, Spike, you used to be an athlete back in the day. Do you ever watch these guys and go, man, I miss those days. I sure wouldn't mind getting back on stage and hitting a few logs. Or are you kind of saying to yourself, nope, that's good, I'll leave it to the young guys?
Every minute of the day, I cut every block. I saw every block that's up there. And, you know, the desire will never, ever go. And, yeah, I'm waiting for a new hip after Christmas. And trust me, I'll be back chopping up on those springboards. And, yeah, if I can, I'll give them a run.
Maybe we'll all jump in for the old cronies version of the STIHL Timbersports here and give them a real show, hey?
Perhaps we should bring the veterans in. Who knows?
That wouldn't be the worst
Spike
idea ever.
Milton, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you, mate. We'll see you in Toulouse. The question is, will we see you at the World Championships in Toulouse? So the World Championships this year, will be in Toulouse, France on the 8th and 9th of November. There are still tickets available.
Not very many, though.
No, indeed. So if you're interested in watching Spike, you normally see him flitting around the stage, don't you? He's sometimes in the camera angles as well. Then
He's always
check
there
that
somewhere,
out.
keeping an eye on things. But Spike's a great guy. We've worked for a long time together, also doing commentary together, where I used to call the events when he was competing on stage, and he was a competitor. Nice to see that he's still staying involved in the sport and trying to develop the athletes as well with the rookies. So he's got, you know, you can see the proud in his eyes when he talks about these rookies as he's helped develop.
Okay, we are being informed that we are ready for the final heat, and that is the small final. That is the consolation final. Klima and Reinhard finished second, respectively, in their semi-finals and will have the chance here to play for third place. They don't get much recovery time here, do they?
They do not. They've got about 3 or 4 minutes or however long that we managed to talk with somebody in studio to get themselves ready after a full day of chopping. And let's not forget, these guys went through the time trials. Then they went through the round of 16, the quarterfinal, and the semifinal, and that all doesn't take into consideration the practice blocks that they were hitting in the back to make sure that they choose the right axis for the day. So it is a long, busy, hard day's work for these gentlemen here.
It's what Spike was saying, though. They're athletes these days, particularly the younger ones. They're really changing the sport, I think it's fair to say. So Matthias Klima, he started off out the blocks like an absolute rocket today, and we thought he might have stood a chance in the final, but he is sadly here, probably for him only in the semi-final. Maybe you can hear some noise in the background. That's my colleague trying to swat a fly, indeed.
Oh, I didn't try. I smashed him.
Did you get it? Did you get it?
I smashed that fly like Matthias Klima smashes wood.
We have an open studio here. We are just a few feet away from the stage. And as Spike mentioned, it's glorious weather here in Bellinzona, Switzerland. And the flies are enjoying the Indian summer as well. Right, this is going to be the final heat we're going to see before the final. It's the so-called small final. And it's going to be Matthias Klima from the Czech Republic against Oliver Reinhardt. They're playing for the bronze medal here.
Should be a good battle between these two guys.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, Matthias Klima with a very nice entry into the wood there. Looks like a good, clean cut. Both of them dropping the cookie at the same time. Moving over to the underhand chop. And both of them getting into it right away. Matthias, good cuts. Ollie Reinhardt got a couple of sticky axes. It's a little bit of a narrower front side for Matthias Klima, and he'll open up that backside a little bit more to get those big chips out and the clean cut through. Ollie Reinhardt on the second side, about 4 drivers behind Matthias Klima. Both of them chipping out nicely. A bit of a dark spot, and Matthias Klima steps down, but he moves over to the single saw. Ollie Reinhardt 3 strokes behind as he'll try and get that saw started. You can see these guys are tired. It's been a long day. Ollie Reinhardt excellent in the single saw, but Matthias Klima a bit faster here as he heads over to standing. And Ollie just looking for that final cut through, and he'll join Matthias Klima 5 strokes back on the standing block chop. Yeah, he's tired. You can see he's tired. It's been a long day. Matthias Klima on that second side. Klima's been looking very good. And obviously, Ollie Reinhardt is getting plenty of support from the crowd here. But it looks like Matthias is going to have this one in a time of 1:13.49. So staying consistent with his time trial time. Very good job by Matthias Klima. He will take the bronze medal here today. And the last couple of effort drivers for Ollie Reinhardt here on that block to get this finished here. And he
looks exhausted.
Absolutely gutted. And that is a finish for Ollie Reinhardt in 1:33.28.
Well done, mate. 4th place. He's had an absolutely cracking day. You just saw there just wasn't enough left in the tank right at the end there.
Yeah, it's a long day, and Ollie had a lot of motivation. He probably put a little bit too much into the early rounds, but, you know, he didn't really have a choice. He needed to be strong today, and, you know, he's going to look at this. He's going to go, okay, I got 4th place. I know I can do it. This was a definite improvement. I don't want to say improvement,
okay,
but
the winner is
it was definitely what Ollie needed to have to be among the top guys here in European trophy format. And a great job by him today. But Matthias Klima, nice job to be on the podium. Excellent for the young Czech. And now we'll let them have a little bit of a breath. And they're heading over to our interview stage as we get to have a look at this final, or this small final heat.
If you could do the business here, Troy, and swap this second fly that's coming to the studio, I'd be very grateful to you. He seems more attractive to me than to you at the moment. But joking aside, yeah, Matthias Klima's made it onto the podium. He'll be delighted with that, won't he?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, anytime you can get onto the podium, whether it's 3rd, 2nd, or 1st, you're going to be happy about that. And obviously, these guys are all wanting to be top of the podium. You know, gold medal, fantastic trophy, the whole bit. But, you know, a podium position is nothing to scoff at, no doubt about it. And Matthias Klima, he's done what he needed to do, not just in the off-season, but during the season to maintain his fitness level. And then coming here today with a long season of hitting, it's definitely been his day. So good job by Matthias Klima. And look at the smile there. That's relief, but that's also happiness.
Okay, we're going to go over to Yolanda for an interview with both of those players. It's Klima and Reinhardt.
I'm here with Matthias Klima and Oliver Reinhardt. What a run! Matthias, congratulations to the third place here today. How did you find the day here in beautiful Bellinzona today?
Yeah, it's great. Crowd is awesome. And yeah, time trial went for me, so it was the key. So yeah, I'm happy.
So now I know you have your championship next weekend. Is that going through your head right now, or are you just going to enjoy your win today here?
I enjoyed today. My Czech championship was postponed, so I don't really know if I will go there. So I'm just thinking about today and celebrate it.
Congratulations. Oliver Reinhardt, I know it's not the result you wanted, but hey, do you want to say something to your fans and family here today?
Thank you very much for always supporting me. And it's been an awesome day. It's been an awesome race. Thank you.
Darf ich auch noch etwas in Deutsch sagen?
Ja, ich wollte am ersten vielmal sagen, meiner Freundin, der Anna, die immer auf meiner Seite steht. Danke vielmals.
Thank you, gentlemen, and back to you, Matt and Troy.
That's beautiful
Nice.
scenes, great interview. Yolanda and Ollie Reinhardt are in fact in the same Axe Club together,
yes.
so they know each other well. Great interview and
Look at that crowd.
lovely reaction from the crowd there.
Yeah, fantastic crowd here today. Everybody's enjoying themselves. This is definitely a highlight for this festival that's happening here. Everybody seems to be enjoying themselves, but they're absolutely going to get a treat coming up next because we do have the fastest two guys from the day, or, well, I won't say the fastest two guys, but the two guys that managed to get into the final today, and that is Michał Dubicki, the powerhouse from Poland, and of course, the fit man himself, the man who motivated all of the pro athletes once he stepped up to it, and that is Ferry Swan.
Okay, we can go to the European Trophy 2024 final. Here it is. It's the Pole Michał Dubicki going up against the Swede Ferry Swan. Both have very strong personal bests. Both have improved as the day has gone on. So this could be very, very interesting indeed. This would be quite a title for both of them, either of them to take home, right?
Well, absolutely, but it would be, I believe, the first time that Michał Dubicki will end up with the European Trophy title. For Ferry Swan, it would be a return to form after struggling a little bit from 2021's title. So, yeah, it's for both of them, there is something at play here. For Dubicki, the motivation to have that title is there, and for Ferry Swan, it's absolutely about making sure he feels in that situation and comfortable again back behind the axe and saw.
Yes, not just in top professional sport. It's not just about times and performances, right? It's about owning it. It's about really commanding that position. So the two gentlemen here just making the last second of preparations, getting those steel chainsaws heated up. They use the same machine, all the athletes remember. And we are ready to go. This is the final of the European Trophy 2024. This is Michał Dubicki versus Ferry
Stand to your
Swan.
timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Dead even start on stock. It's going to be about who's got the feel for the machine. And it's Ferry Swan with a slightly quicker start here. And into the underhand chop. Both of them with pace on that block. Ferry Swan, big chips flying away from his block. A bit sticky there on that one hit. Dubicki onto the other side, a half stroke ahead of Ferry Swan. The power of Dubicki is going to be coming into question here once they get to that standing. But right now they've got to get through this underhand chop, and it's going to be Swan struggling a little bit as Dubicki moves over to the single buck. Dubicki with the advantage on single buck, and Swan hops it out of the guideline, and that's a huge problem for him. He's got to reset and restart, and that gives Dubicki a huge opportunity here on standing block chop as Swan is trying to motor through that single saw and get to the standing and try and catch up with Dubicki, but the power of Dubicki will not let that happen.
He's already over to the other side.
So he's on second side. Dubicki just needs to get through this. A shortcut by Ferry Swan on the first side. Will he be able to catch up? This would be an incredible come from behind.
It's going to be Dubicki!
Dubicki wins his first European trophy. What a fantastic result for the Pole. He is going to be over the moon about that win. He's been
heartbreak for Ferry Swan, who just could not get the saw back in.
Dubitsky's been 4th place in the past at the European Trophy, and today he takes the top spot on the podium. He is going to be oh so happy about that. An unfortunate hop out of the guide rail from Ferry Swan's single saw, and that was the difference maker right there. Look at how winded Dubitsky is, but what a day for him.
What a day. Congratulations, sir. You're looking at the European Trophy winner for 2024.
Mikhail Dubitsky.
There's the confirmation from the referee. Mikhail Dubitsky will take the title home. Ferry Svan, high five, and a lovely smile on his face. He knows it could have been oh so different if that saw hadn't just flipped out of the guide hole. But at the end of the day, Dubitsky had a great day, didn't he?
He did have a good day. You know, whether you want to call it tactical or whether you want to call it pure power, it doesn't matter. Dubitsky did what he needed to do to get to that final, and then he put it all out there. He left nothing on the table. Ferry Swan was excellent all day long. He is back in form, and seeing him here perform as well as he did, look at these guys, a couple of warriors. On that underhand chop, both of them were tit for tat. Dubitsky over to the first side, a half stroke, only a half stroke ahead of Ferry Swan here. Ferry thought he had the cut through, step down.
There was a little moment there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a little moment there where he needed to get a couple of extra hits in there to make sure that block was split. And then here, the saw jumped out, and he was already a little bit behind. But then Dubitsky had his own problems on the single saw where the misery whip aspect came out of it. But he managed to get the cut through, and you can see here, Ferry Swan trying to hop the saw to get it moving, and then it jumped out of that guide rail that they cut for it, and that took him a long time to find the line and get it back into position, and that was the absolute difference maker here.
Wow, that's tough.
That's a really tough situation. Watch this final couple of drivers here from Dubitsky. Look at that block fly.
So the safety equipment is not allowed to fly to the other side of the stage,
no, but the
your
block is okay. Yeah, that's okay. But I'll be honest with you, you know, Dubitsky, that hand up in the air, that was the relief of a man who has been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting to get to that top position, and he finally did it. You know what? Very deserving for sure today.
Congratulations, Mikhail Dubitsky. Here is the confirmation. The STIHL Timbersports European Trophy 2024 winner is Mikhail Dubitsky from Poland. Second place is Ferry Svan. Matthias Klima will take the bronze. We're seeing all the way down to 12 there. Knoll, Kugler, Pendleton and Turner were eliminated in the round of 16. Rossi, Puberé, Grunwald and Hansen. We can hear from the winner himself. This is Mikhail Dubitsky.
Okay.
Congratulations, Mikhail Dubitsky, 2024 European Trophy champion. How does that feel?
Yes, I'm very happy this day for me. Very important. Yes, I win. It's super.
Would you like to say something to your family?
Tak, chciałem pozwolić swoją rodzinę, Izunia, Grzesia, całą dużą rodzinę, także dzięki nim tutaj też jestem na tym najwyższym podium.
Grazie mille per tutti. Grazie.
Super. We wish you all the best, and back to you, to the studio.
Beautiful multilingual interview there. Congratulations.
And you can still see Dubitsky is absolutely winded.
He was exhausted, wasn't he?
Absolutely winded. I mean, he was breathing hard, and he
That's
worked
the thing about sport. You just put everything into it, and then someone sticks a mic in your face.
Exactly, but you know, that's the way it goes. But you could see he worked with every ounce and every cell in his body to get that win today. And even a few seconds or a few minutes later, when we went back to him for the interview, he's still breathing hard. That's how much effort he put into that final heat, you know, and that's what you got to do. And he's done it, and he is the champ.
We've talked today quite a bit about the new generation, this younger athletic generation, but it was an older hand who won it today. Yep. Was it the experience? I mean, he's been there and done it. He hadn't won this trophy before, but he's been on the tour for a couple of years, right? He knows his apples, doesn't he?
He does know his apples, definitely. And I think, you know, the things that play a role here are definitely experience, but, you know, the fitness level is playing a huge role, especially in the trophy format. And Dubitsky is absolutely fit. You know, he does CrossFit in the off season to make sure his training is under tension, he has the ability to keep that oxygen flow into the blood and into the muscles. So, you know, he knows what he needs to do. And for sure, the experience plays a role. The more experience you have, as well as the fitness, and you are a deadly combination. And you saw Ferry Swan, he's got experience as well, and he's got the fitness. It was just a little bit of a mistake trying to hop that saw out, and that was it for him. He was done and dusted.
A word about Matthias Klima today. Started the day very well, finished only in third place, but he'll be happy with his performance today as well, right?
Yeah, 2 years of pro, and we're talking about experience that's come quickly for Matthias Klima. He has done a great job, and what was in particular noticeable about Matthias is he didn't really get flustered or out of condition as far as his headspace was concerned. He was focused all day long. He knew what he needed to do. He got the fastest of the time trials because he wanted to make sure that he had a good time so that he would go against some of the weaker athletes in that first round, and it paid off for him. He made it to the small final today, and he is your bronze medalist. And we know that he is going to be motivated to take that next step into the next level in the coming season. So you got to watch out for Matthias. He's going to be back stronger than ever next season.
Yeah, indeed. So today was the trophy format. That's where, as we've seen, they do 4 disciplines, one after the other. In November in Toulouse, the World Championships, there's an individual event and a team event. Talk us through, for those who are new to timber sports, what they might be seeing when they tune in there.
All right, so imagine the trophy format with a team of 4 guys. That's the same idea for the team competition, but for the individual contest, it's individuals on stage battling against each other for the fastest time in 6 disciplines, including that final discipline, the hot saw. For all you motorheads out there, that's the one you want to check out for sure.
It is. Yeah, you could say that. The team event is effectively trophy, but with a team of 4, right?
Exactly.
Relay style.
Correct.
All right, they're making the last-minute preparations on stage for the award ceremony. We're going to see those 3 boys. Yes, indeed, we've just got the information. We can go over to the local host, Eddie, for the award ceremony. Okay, apparently we have a slight technical problem, and I believe you can't hear Eddie at home. Trust me, we can hear him. He's incredibly loud here in the arena. But he is introducing the movers and shakers.
Abbiamo il microfono, we have to change the microphone. I premi vengono consegnati dalla mitica Karin Krienbühl. Die Preise werden heute übergegeben von Karin Krienbühl. The prizes will be presented today by Karin Krienbühl. Un applauso, grazie. And now, we are ready to present you the award. Cominciamo con gli atleti. Li nominiamo tutti. From France, Adrien Courteau. From German, Stefan Odwarka. From Czech Republic, Zdenek Marassa. From Italy, Alessandro Ciapponi. From Great Britain, Graham Turner. From Great Britain, Glenn Pennington. From Austria, Armin Kluger. From Netherlands, Redmer Knoll. Dall'Italia, from Italy, Andrea Rossi. From France, Pierre Puy-Barret. From Poland, Jacek Groenwald. From Sweden, Emil Hansson. And from Switzerland, Olivier Reinhardt. But now, we start with the 3rd place. Iniziamo col 3° posto. 3rd place, winner of the bronze medal from Czech Republic, Matthias Klima. Congratulations, Mattia. Medaglia di bronzo alla Repubblica Ceca, qua rappresentata da Matthias Klima con la consegna della medaglia di bronzo. Un applauso! Second place, secondo posto, winner of the silver medal, vincitore della medaglia di argento, from Sweden, dalla Svezia, Ferry Swan! Congratulations, Ferry! Nice job! Consegna della medaglia da parte di Karin. And now, e ora, lo abbiamo visto prima, first place, primo posto, winner of the gold medal, vincitore della medaglia d'oro e dell'European Trophy 2024 for Poland, dalla Polonia, Michał Dubicki! Congratulations! Oh! And now we are ready for the national hymn of Poland, l'inno polacco. Un applauso per il vincitore, for the winner, Michał. And ready now, come all athletes on the stage. Tanto io me ne vado, che sono qui.
What a lovely moment there. A little
Un
bit of emotion
applauso a
from
tutti gli atleti di
Michał Dubicki as he was holding back the tears during the national anthem. Fantastic for him, though. His first time as the European champion in the trophy format. Absolutely fantastic. A big congratulations to him as now they bring up all the other athletes onto the stage and they can celebrate together as a family on stage.
Great scenes here in Bellinzona, Switzerland, where Michał Dubicki has been crowned the European trophy winner for 2024. You could see what it meant to him, and oh, what a gentleman, as the awards were given to him and to Ferry Svan. Hats off, eye contact, thank you very much, as you rightly said, Troy. They're a great bunch of athletes, but they're also just a great bunch of men, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a fantastic group. They're always helping each other. They're always supporting each other. There's no moaning or complaining or he said this or he did that or he cheated. These guys really want to see this sport grow and flourish and become even more popular than it is now, and they have a voracious group of fans that follow these guys around. So it is fantastic to see that there's always a small change going on, and Michał Dubicki being atop the podium today is very nice.
It is. You know what would also be nice? You talk about spreading the word. You can contribute to that. Hashtag KissMyAxe, hashtag STIHL TimberSports. Spread the word. If you've enjoyed it, let us know. And don't forget, never forget your P's. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ciao, everybody. See you.